Chapter 11:23. The black-masked man and the white-masked man acknowledged and began to cast their spells at lightning speed. The green-faced fierce-tusked man didn't do anything and simply stood there, sighing emotionally. In the past, when the technique had just been completed, the divine dragon's corpse suddenly appeared in this void of space and was immediately sensed by the deities of the void. After several battles, the deities directly cut off the soul-channeling technique, causing this technique to fall into disuse. He looked down at the purple-scaled black snake and said, "But now, the divine dragon's body somehow managed to devour a few souls and managed to reactivate the technique we set up." Gu Qing-shan and Boss were both shocked. So that purple-scaled black snake had always been a corpse that was being manipulated. No wonder the deities couldn't kill it no matter how hard they tried. After the soul strands on its body were broken, the god of life took advantage of that and took over its body. The god of life was quite perceptive. Since this corpse was referred to as a divine dragon by the other party, it must have many uses. Unfortunately, even after so many years, this body was still able to sense that combination divine skill. Most likely, the god of life didn't think of this from the very beginning, so she could only hide in calming soul country and wait for the technique to completely dissipate. While the green-faced fierce-tusked man was talking, the technique of the two people behind him had already been completed. The green-furred face opened its mouth wide and let out another coffin. All the other coffins were black, but this one was pure white, giving off a sense of divinity. The black-faced and white-faced men's hand seals changed even faster. They were sweating profusely, using everything they had to control the technique to slowly send the pure white coffin into the middle of the other coffins. All of a sudden, the black-faced man shouted, "Open!" The pure white coffin opened up. A large amount of blood flowed out from inside the coffin. Other than that, the coffin was completely empty. How could this be? The black-faced man exclaimed in shock. The green-faced fierce-tusked man also seemed a bit surprised and muttered, "That's impossible. If I remember correctly, he was dead." He leapt forward and touched the inside of the coffin with his hand. A hand full of blood. The green-faced fierce-tusked man looked at the blood on his hand and muttered after a while, "So it was this technique." The white-faced fierce-tusked man caught up and asked, "Sir, what now?" The green-faced fanged man said, "This is that person's blood. Collect it and it will be enough for you to use your memory of 3 lives. You will be able to obtain some inheritance from it." The white-faced man quickly formed a hand seal with both hands. The blood that was floating in the air immediately gathered and formed a ball of blood in his hand. It began to emit a bright and dim bloody glow. The black-masked man said, "Sir, if that's the case, won't we not have enough manpower?" The green-faced fanged man took out a handkerchief to wipe the blood off his hands and said, "We can't borrow any more people, because the war has reached its most crucial point. We're lacking experts everywhere. It's very difficult to completely suppress the eternal abyss," the black-masked man angrily said. "How strange, we were clearly about to win, but somehow the abyss received some replenishment and launched another counterattack." The green-faced fanged man sighed. "It seems he obtained a few bodies. In truth, this is how wars between worlds are, until the very last moment. You will never know what will happen." He raised the tortoise shell in his hand and continued, "It's actually fine. These deity corpses are more than enough. The central hub of the infinite worlds isn't too far away from us. We've already used the dragon god to break through the barrier. The deity corpses will be responsible for clearing the path ahead. We can take this chance to investigate." "Yes, sir," the black-faced and white-faced men both replied. The green-faced fanged man turned his hand to put the tortoise shell away, then calmly formed a hand seal. Immediately, all the deity corpses flew onto the black snake's body. The green-furred face in the void of space slowly disappeared. "Let's go," the green-faced fanged man said. The purple-scaled black snake's body moved, broke through the void of space, and disappeared without a trace. Gu Qing-shan and Boss stood in the dark void of space without saying anything for a long time. Everything that happened just now was too shocking. It wasn't until a while later that the two of them finally understood what happened. Did you hear that? They're people from the parallel world that fell into the abyss, Gu Qingshan said. Boss solemnly replied. I did, but I didn't think that they had already planned this countless years ago. If that's the case, the parallel world falling into the eternal abyss wasn't just a coincidence. They must have some sort of goal. Gu Qingshan asked. The central hub of the infinite world's operation that they mentioned, was it the inner plane? If it's the central hub of the infinite world's operation, then it's definitely the inner plane, Boss answered. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. The inner plane had 80,000 deities, including the Divine King and Grand Emperor. How exactly did such a powerful world get destroyed? Boss shook his head. That's a mystery, no one knows. Gu Qingshan asked further. You don't know either? Boss appeared nostalgic and replied. At the time, I was the strongest person below the Grand Emperor, responsible for guarding the eternal abyss. It was already too late when I received the news. By the time I returned, the entire inner plane had already been destroyed. Then the 7 deities should know the details. What the hell would they know? They originally couldn't have escaped. They were thrown out by the Grand Emperor's power. Boss waved his hand in annoyance and continued. I originally thought that the Grand Emperor had some sort of deeper meaning for throwing them out, but after several thousand years of investigation, I couldn't find anything, and they all died in battle against the void monsters, Gu Qingshan replied. Except for the god of life, Boss agreed. Except for this piece of trash. Gu Qingshan pondered for a bit then, regretfully asked, what exactly did those people want to search for in the inner plane? Unfortunately, we're too exhausted right now, so we can't follow them, Boss coldly smirked and replied. Don't worry, before they even entered the inner plane, they would all die. They would die? Gu Qingshan didn't understand. Boss replied. After the inner plane was destroyed, many powerful parallel worlds had noticed this and wanted to enter it to investigate, but as soon as they entered, the only thing awaiting them was death. Why? Gu Qingshan asked. Boss replied. Because there was a vast space between the inner plane and the space vortex. As soon as the inner plane was destroyed, numerous undefeatable demons appeared in that space. They were true demons. Even at my peak, I didn't dare to try and probe them. They were even more unfathomable than the monsters in the space vortex, and even more impossible to deal with. Entering would only result in death. Gu Qingshan asked. Then, those people just now also met the same fate? Boss nodded. They were able to bring the World Destroyer Serpent with them, as well as many deity corpses, so it's more than enough for them to do anything else. But to win against those demons and enter the inner plane, they're still far from enough. Gu Qingshan silently thought for a while, then sighed. Just how exactly was the inner plane destroyed? I really want to know the secret behind it. Boss patted his shoulder and said, Don't think too much about it. One day, when I've regained my strength and you've become strong enough, I'll take you to the place where you can truly enter the inner plane. You mean? Boss went silent and sent his voice. The abyss found a secret passage to the inner plane and hid it at the bottom of the abyss. There was only a single demon there. Despite how powerful it was, the abyss had gone through countless years and finally found a way to deal with it. However, as soon as that method was created by the abyss, it was stolen by the Soul Shrieker. Even I didn't know about it at first. Fortunately, the Soul Shrieker didn't manage to obtain that secret. Did the Soul Shrieker lose that secret? Gu Qingshan asked in disbelief. The Soul Shrieker was an incredibly cunning and treacherous monster. I really didn't think it would lose such a precious secret. That's right, that secret had only recently appeared in the 900 million world layers. Boss looked at Gu Qingshan with deep meaning. Gu Qingshan, it's on you. Gu Qingshan froze. It came from the abyss, was stolen by the Soul Shrieker, and ended up on me. Gu Qingshan looked at Boss's expression and slowly realized. He took out the twin swords Heaven and Earth and held them in his hands. Boss looked at the two swords with a complicated gaze and muttered, Indeed, they are the sole artifacts of the eternal abyss, the demon-suppressing weapons of the bottomless abyss, the legendary twin swords, Heaven and Earth. Chapter 11:24. The space vortex regained its calm. The black snake had activated an ancient divine skill and was driven to the inner plane by the people of the parallel world. Calming Soul Country was gone. The god of life and Soul Shrieker had fused into one and escaped. They only had a single head left, so they were extremely weak and would most likely have to rest for a while. Everything was over. Guqing Shan and Boss didn't stay here for long. They continued to travel through the void for a long distance before finding a secluded location to release the mirror world. Zhang Youngho and Yi Feili were both still resting. Lola ran out. Guqing Shan, I have news for you, Lola spoke mysteriously. Guqing Shan stretched her back. What news? I'm very tired right now, it better be good news, Lola replied. It's good news. Ning Yuechan brought the Angel of Condemnation card and coin back to the Bramble Bird Kingdom, Guqing Shan said without hesitation. Then let's return right away and get it. No need, Lola waved her hand dismissively. I can connect to the Bramble Bird Kingdom at any time, so I can still send a few small things. Lola took out a bright green leaf and chanted an incantation. The green leaf quickly gave off waves of light. Lola's expression suddenly changed and she smiled again. Seeing how strange her smile was, Guqing Shan couldn't help but ask, "What's the matter?" "It's nothing, but I think it's better if you receive it yourself." Saying so, Lola put the green leaf into Guqing Shan's hand and grabbed Boss. "Boss, come with me to the mirror world. Everyone is waiting for you to tell them about what happened just now." Before Boss could answer, he was already dragged away. The surface of the mirror world flashed briefly before returning to normal. The only person left inside the space vortex was Guqing Shan. He held the emerald green leaf and looked at the mirror world. On the Gold Coast, the sea breeze was blowing. Boss, Yi Feili, Zhang Youngho, and the rest were lying on the beach chairs, enjoying the sea breeze and drinking soul power drink. It was a very comfortable feeling. Guqing Shan couldn't help but feel slightly baffled in her heart. "Lola, why did you leave me alone outside?" At this moment, the emerald green leaf in his hand suddenly turned into a ball of green light, forming a graceful figure. The green light turned into Ning Yuechan's figure, appearing in front of Guqing Shan. Just the light and shadow had already outlined her unique temperament and charm. "Long time no see, Guqing Shan. I've collected the cards and coins," Ning Yuechan said. She placed a coin and a card into the void of space. Guqing Shan caught the coins and cards as they fell to the ground. Guqing Shan took a look. On the card, Little Dusk was still sleeping. Guqing Shan looked up and smiled. "General Ning, thank you for making this trip. Are these two things very important?" Ning Yuechan asked. "Very important." Guqing Shan's tone became heavier. Ning Yuechan looked at him. He looked at Ning Yuechan. The two of them didn't say anything for a while. Ning Yuechan suddenly smiled and said, "Thank you for bringing me to the 900 million world layers, teaching me various languages, and escorting me into the strife zones. It's truly been an eye-opener. My cultivation is now much stronger than before," Guqing Shan replied. "You're welcome. This is what I should do." "Also, why didn't Su Cher come back with you?" Ning Yuechan replied. "I beat her up, so she didn't come," Guqing Shan exclaimed in shock. "You beat her up?" Ning Yuechan nodded. She was completely exhausted at the time, still crying and begging me to fight, so I used the back of my blade to beat her up, then checked her body. Not bad, she's still a virgin. Then I stepped on her and told her to focus on cultivating, otherwise she wouldn't be able to compete with others. Don't worry, I didn't hurt her face. She's probably feeling a bit down right now, but she'll probably adjust soon enough." Guqing Shan raised his eyebrows as he heard that, but quickly lowered them back down. All blade cultivators were like this. For a blade user to treat others like this, it was already considered extremely gentle. In the cultivation world, blade users would only scold and beat their own disciples like this. In the blade world, this was called going to the mundane world. A blade user can't have sand in their eyes, nor can they have too many distracting thoughts in their mind. That's why Gu Qingshan wasn't worried about Su Share's safety or mental state. What he was worried about was something else. With how sharp of a person he was, even if he hadn't been in a relationship before, it wasn't a problem for him to pick up on what was going on. The two girls have already reunited. What the hell? I was so busy stealing the cards from the two deities that I didn't have the time to continue learning the love skill from Yi Feili. The love dealer I saw last time, although the online tutoring was quite eye-opening, it was all practical. That's too late. I don't even know what to say right now. If I had known, I would have learned a bit before coming to see Ning Yuechan. What should I say now? What should I do? Seeing his helpless appearance, Ning Yuechan couldn't help but chuckle. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, I know you know what you're doing, but why are you treating her like this? Ning Yuechan replied. From what I can see, this girl Su Share is clearly no longer a normal person, but she still thinks of herself as a normal person, so she keeps trapping herself, unable to find an exit in her mind. I'm just trying to wake her up. Gu Qingshan opened his mouth. Then, thank you. Ning Yuechan's apricot eyes stared straight at his face and muttered. No need to thank me, Gu Qingshan. Once the apocalypse is over, you can become my dual cultivation companion. Gu Qingshan froze. Aren't there supposed to be a lot of procedures? Eating, shopping, and so on. And finally confirming our relationship. Why are you being so direct? I'm not even ready yet. Ning Yuechan looked at his expression and chuckled. You're usually calm and resourceful, but when it comes to emotions, you're very similar to Su Share. How so? Silly. Ning Yuechan reached her hand out and lightly touched Gu Qingshan's face. Are you willing? She softly asked. Gu Qingshan was once again speechless. As expected of Ning Yuechan, I thought it was already over, and now you're trying to kill me again. That's right. She uses the blade, and the path of the blade is straight, so she's like her blade, both her words and actions are direct and passionate. But I use the sword, and the path of the sword is flexible, so I can use my sword to deal with it? Truthfully, blades and swords are both hearts. My heart's desire is. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but recall Casanova Yi Feili's teachings. A person who knows so many girls but doesn't know how to fall in love will often run into the apocalypse. This was Casanova's teachings. Gu Qingshan immediately replied. I really do want to fall in love, because I really don't know anything. That's right. Just like in battle, without any information or understanding of the situation, you won't be able to do anything. Right now I need to learn how to fall in love. Although the term fall in love isn't a term used in the cultivation world, as someone who lived in the strife zones, Ning Yuechan could more or less understand it. She lowered her head slightly, and the corners of her mouth lifted into a smile. Still a bit embarrassed. I'll return to Shin Wu World first and report everything that happened recently. We'll talk about our matters later. Saying so, the emerald light flashed and disappeared. She left. Gu Qingshan blanked out for a while. This girl. You were the one who suggested it. And now you're saying we'll talk about it later. Which one am I supposed to listen to? Gu Qingshan sighed tiredly. Compared to women, the two deities are much easier to deal with. He looked down at the cards and coins in his hand, then tapped his inventory bag to take out the Demon King Order coin and the Great Bramble Tree coin as well, placing them in his hand. The three coins, the Angel of Condemnation, the Demon King Order, and the Great Bramble Tree were all here. He only needed to ask Lola to summon the Great Bramble Tree. All of a sudden, the War God Quest option suddenly lit up on the War God UI. War God Quest Reset, reissuing quest, optional quest 1. Pursue and kill the Deity of Chaos, Soul Shrieker quest reward. When you kill the Deity of Chaos with your own hands, you shall replace him and become the new ruler of Chaos. Optional quest 2. Save Lady Black Sea quest description. When you complete this quest, order shall regain its footing and return to a state of equilibrium with chaos. At the same time, lines of glowing text appeared at the center of the UI frowny face chaos or order. This is an eternal question. This is the era of chaos's weakest moment, as well as the most crucial moment of the war between order and chaos. Which path should the 900 million world layers take? Holder of the War God UI, this is up to you to decide. Please make your choice now. Gu Qingshan quickly finished reading through. If anyone else was faced with such a choice, they might hesitate, but he had already gone through a similar test. On top of the abyss of the broken world, to complete her world technique, Gu Qingshan entered the remains of that world and practiced the battle between order and chaos. Indeed, he had already obtained the answer in that world. Chaos cannot be completely destroyed, but professionists of the world can use order to fight against chaos, maintaining a balance between the two, or even greatly weakening chaos. This will help the world develop and become stronger. To fight against the apocalypse, one cannot rely on the strength of a single person. Gu Qingshan understood this very well. It was only with the help of Boss, Zhang Yongho, Yi Feili, and Lola that he was able to come up with a strategy to steal the Order card from the God of Life. Stealing the Order card from another divinity while being pursued by another divinity was an almost unimaginable mission, but with everyone's help it was miraculously accomplished. At this point, within the 900 million world layers, there were Shifu, Xiaolu, Xiu's group, Su Sher, Anna, Ning Yuechan, Bali, Miao, Yunji, and many other combatants. Gu Qingshan had personally witnessed the power of the human army. If everyone were to receive the protection of the world's apocalypse online, human army, everyone's strength would surely increase. At that time, if everyone was willing to help, the 900 million world layers would truly become stronger. The 900 million world layers would then obtain the power to fight against the apocalypse. This was Gu Qingshan's true goal. Gu Qingshan didn't hesitate and cheerfully said, "I want to save Water God. Issue the quest." Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face. Wherever your sword points, it will be the War God UI's quest objective. The UI will set up a different soul points usage state for each War God quest based on the actual situation to fully assist you during this War God quest. You've obtained the soul points usage state. Devotion. A devotion. The soul points consumed for any skill you use is halved. Following that, a new line of glowing text appeared. Frowny face, please name this War God quest. Gu Qingshan replied. Order returns. Following his name, the corresponding quest appeared on the War God UI. Frowny face, attention, the War God quest has officially been issued. Quest name. Order returns. Quest description. You've obtained the 3 coins from the age of old, gathered the Angel of Condemnation, the Great Bramble Tree, and the Demon King of Order, allowing you to travel through the infinite space-time to return to the point of time you desire. You must save Lady Black Sea at the very last moment of her life and bring her back to the present. Quest reward. No reward, but the 900 million world layers harvest will be unprecedented. Everyone will become stronger. Attention! You've fully understood the rules of time travel and erasure. Please carefully avoid the you of the past, otherwise, the law of time will erase one of you. This time, you won't have a chance to redo it. Chapter 11:25. The Holy Church of Fate. The Holy Church of Fate's room. A burly middle-aged man was sitting on a sofa, slowly drinking a glass of liquor. The Holy Church mistress was standing next to him like a servant. This man's body was shrouded in a gray mist. After he finished a bottle of liquor, he stood up and walked to the window. As he walked, a pair of pale horns could be seen on his head, twisting and sticking to the back of his head. Magic dragon. He had revived. Lord God, you've only just revived. It's best if you don't drink too much, the Holy Church mistress softly told him. She stared at the man in front of her with a fanatical gaze. She was the one who collected his corpse, using a lot of precious materials and spells to revive him. She didn't think that he would actually be able to revive. This power was too great. Magic Dragon noticed the fanatical look in her eyes and couldn't help but chuckle. It's fine, I just need a bit of liquor. At this crucial moment it can help me calm down. You seem a bit nervous? The Holy Church Mistress hesitantly asked. Magic Dragon walked in front of the Holy Church Mistress and lifted her chin with his hand. It's about time to get down to business. The 2 things I asked you to do when I woke up, how are they going? Lord God, I've done as you instructed and absorbed all of the Angel of Condemnation card's power. The Holy Church Mistress took out a card and gave it to him. Lord God, she smiled flatteringly, those people might not be able to use the Angel of Condemnation card even if they obtained it, since the power of the card has already been exhausted. Magic Dragon received the card from her hand. Boundless light was constantly surging from the card. This was a unique card that specialized in absorbing power. The power of the Angel of Condemnation, the demon dragon muttered softly. He turned his hand and took out 3 coins. They were the Angel of Condemnation, the Demon King of Order, and the Great Bramble Tree. Magic Dragon's expression changed. In front of him, a thick branch of the Great Bramble Tree, as well as a male corpse that gave off boundless black smoke, also appeared. Everyone with the current chaotic war, I'm guessing they'll send me, Magic Dragon said to himself. He frowned and pondered for a long time. Suddenly, he looked at the temple mistress. What about the other thing? He asked. The temple mistress knelt on the ground in fear and said, Master God, I did as you said and kept Sue Cher by my side. I kept an eye on her at all times and was careful not to alarm her. But for some reason, she suddenly disappeared yesterday. Magic Dragon didn't say anything, but the gray mist on his body surged violently. After a while, he walked back and squatted down in front of the temple master. It's fine, that woman's life or death is no longer important. After all, Gu Qing Shan has the Heaven Sword. Magic Dragon softened his voice and comforted him. The mist on his body also calmed down. The temple master didn't dare to breathe loudly. She lowered her head and said, Master God, I am willing to serve you forever. Magic Dragon silently chuckled. He opened his vertical pupils wide and stared straight at her. I can only maintain my consciousness for 3 minutes before I enter a muddle-headed state again. More importantly, I'm about to lose my immortal body, as well as some sort of powerful power. All of this is true. The gods never lie. I ask you, under such circumstances, are you willing to come with me? The temple master froze. He's about to lose his power. Noticing that her reaction was a bit inappropriate, the temple master tried to salvage the situation. But she didn't have the chance. Magic Dragon reached out a finger and lightly tapped the temple master's forehead. The sharp fingernail abruptly grew longer and pierced through the temple master's head. The temple master's body twitched a few times before becoming motionless. Time slowly passed. Magic Dragon crouched down on the ground, chanting an incantation. The temple master's body was still hanging on his finger, completely motionless. Finally, Magic Dragon's incantation was completed. He shouted in a low voice, Come! A black figure abruptly appeared from the void of space and entered the temple master's body. Magic Dragon hurriedly pulled his hand back. The temple master slowly stood up. As soon as she stood up, a mask appeared on her face. It was the mask of a female wraith. The temple master stood still with her hands clasped behind her back. Her presence abruptly changed. If she was a respectful and devout servant before, she had now turned into a great personage who looked down on all living beings. Magic Dragon knelt down on both knees and respectfully said, Madam. As soon as he said that, the ashen aura around his body abruptly rose. Magic Dragon howled in pain. The person wearing the female wraith mask simply stared at him. Magic Dragon rolled around on the ground, moaning in pain. After a long while, he finally breathed heavily, soaked in sweat, and lay still on the ground. He tried his best to stand up, once again knelt in front of the female wraith mask, breathing heavily. Madam, the abyss has left me. A long while later, a female voice resounded from behind the mask. Of course, now that you've seen me, the abyss would naturally understand the relationship between you and me, so it was only natural for it to feel anger and abandon you. Yes, Magic Dragon respectfully replied. The female voice continued. In short, you've done quite well. Several 10,000 years ago, you managed to infiltrate this Magic Dragon's soul artifact, continuously summoned our divine artifacts to invade and finally drove away the refugees who wanted to take root here. Their strength was actually quite a headache. Following that, you successfully infiltrated the Eternal Abyss and obtained a lot of first-hand information regarding the Abyss, which served as the foundation for our previous war. Unfortunately, you failed with the twin swords Heaven and Earth. Magic Dragon spoke in a low voice. Madam, this was all my fault, please punish me. His attitude seemed to have pleased the demonic masked woman. The demonic masked woman continued. It is fine, this isn't your fault. In truth, at the time, there was one of the 4 pillar gods of the void hiding in the shadows. Although we didn't know who it was, we didn't even dare to show ourselves. Under such circumstances, it was already quite impressive that you managed to accomplish this. However, that void deity was too scheming, even your brain was tampered with. The demonic masked woman fell into thought. Magic Dragon knew that he couldn't say anything at this point. He lowered his head and silently knelt there. This attitude made the demonic masked woman quite pleased. The demonic masked woman took out a mask. This was also a Yiksha mask, with a pair of blood-red horns on its head and an expression that looked like it was laughing and crying at the same time. Take it, you've broken through, the demonic masked woman told him. Magic Dragon was overjoyed. He prostrated on the ground and couldn't help but say, Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. No need to thank me, you've worked hard for several 10,000 years, this is what you deserve, the demonic masked woman slowly continued. Furthermore, this soul mask has the ability to restore your mind. It will ensure that the wounds on your mind will heal as soon as possible. Her body suddenly trembled a bit. Madam? Magic Dragon doubtfully asked. Someone is calling me. I have to go deal with the war. The demonic masked woman helplessly replied. Mystic Dragon, I will now give you a very important mission. Please tell me, madam, Magic Dragon immediately replied. The demonic masked woman continued. The Eternal Abyss wasn't completely defeated by us. During the decisive battle, it suddenly obtained a new body, allowing its power to greatly increase. The current situation is extremely urgent. I came here in a hurry. I'll have to return soon. I know that the era of chaos is about to descend upon the 900 million world layers created from the void. I want you to represent us and form an alliance with chaos. As for the content of the alliance, you will help their deity, then have their deity bring all the carriers of chaos within the 900 million world layers to help us destroy the Eternal Abyss. Yes, madam. Chapter 11:26. Within the dark void of space, a meteor flew by. The speed of this star was extremely fast. It passed through millions of worlds and finally landed in a gray, inconspicuous, and barren world. The meteor fell to the ground silently and did not cause any violent earthquake. Magic Dragon stood where the meteor landed. He unleashed his unparalleled power fluctuations and spoke to the entire world. O deity of chaos, your excellency Soul Shrieker, I know you're hiding here. No response. The world remained silent. Magic Dragon replied without changing his expression. You can remain silent, but if I destroy this world, you will still have to come out to see me after another breath's worth of time. All of a sudden, a malicious voice resounded across the entire world. Magic Dragon, what are you trying to do? Take advantage of the situation? Magic Dragon chuckled and replied. No, you are the deity who started the era of chaos. The will of chaos listens to your every word. I have no intentions of killing you. The voice paused briefly before asking again. Then why did you come looking for me? To see my pitiful appearance? Magic Dragon shook his head. No need to probe further, let's be pragmatic. He opened his palm to show the 3 coins and said, Gu Qing Shan is collecting the 3 coins. He wants to return to the past and save an order. The Soul Shrieker's voice abruptly raised. How do you know all of this? Hurry up and tell me. Listen, I'm not afraid of you, but to show my sincerity, I can continue. Magic Dragon smiled and continued. He personally asked me for the whereabouts of the coins, then while you were busy chasing after him, I arranged for someone to drain the power of the Angel of Condemnation card and delay his actions. But as you know, he has a lot of tricks up his sleeves, so if you want to kill him with me, we probably won't have much time to slowly chat. Why should I believe you? You need to show me more sincerity, the Soul Shrieker doubtfully asked. Magic Dragon nonchalantly replied, I can tell you this, I know the point in time that Gu Qing Shan wants to go to. It is at the moment when the Spire Association is destroyed. The Soul Shrieker fell silent. A few moments later, the earth began to tremble. The whole world split in 2. Magic Dragon looked down and was a little moved. On the ground, from the shallow layer all the way to the bottomless bottom of the world, there were corpses everywhere. Countless corpses of professionists. The entire world had been dug out and stored with countless corpses. 2 figures flew up from the ground. It was a 2-faced, 6-armed monster, and an old woman with black tentacles all over her body. Magic Dragon observed the Soul Shrieker, a bit surprised. This monster was nothing like what the intelligence said. Although it was a little weak, its injuries were almost healed. Magic Dragon's gaze swept across the world of corpses, and he slowly understood. He looked at the old woman and asked, Who is this? The Soul Shrieker replied, The second deity of the era of chaos. Magic Dragon was deep in thought. The Soul Shrieker asked, Magic Dragon, what exactly do you want? Magic Dragon said, This time, I'm here to help you. The Soul Shrieker coldly laughed. Help me? How laughable, why would I need your help? Magic Dragon calmly replied, I'll give you the coins, I can even prepare the 3 unique entities for you, I can even help you kill Gu Qing Shan and stop him from saving the order. The Soul Shrieker's cold smile faded. I've only just failed. Gu Qing Shan took the twin swords heaven and earth from me. Gu Qing Shan played me. Gu Qing Shan carries the Demon King order, the final nail in the coffin of the era of chaos. Saying anything else would be useless. The Soul Shrieker couldn't help but treat Gu Qing Shan seriously. It stared straight at Magic Dragon and asked with its male voice, What do you want from me? Magic Dragon took out a Yiksha mask and showed it to the other party. Magic Dragon solemnly replied, I represent the will of a parallel world to seek an alliance with the era of chaos. For what purpose? To defeat the eternal abyss, to destroy all order, and of course, to kill Gu Qing Shan as well. Very well, deal. At another location, a Bramble Bird Kingdom airship was flying through the space vortex. Jang Young-ho recalled, At the time, I had just been dumped by the president's daughter, so I was drinking every single day. Yi Fei Li recalled, At the time, I was playing video games all night long and was punished by my wife to kneel on a washboard. Lola recalled, At the time, I was still in the Bramble Bird Kingdom, I didn't go anywhere. Boss recalled, At the time, I was sleeping. Gu Qing Shan clapped her hands and said, There, as long as you weren't there when the Soul Shrieker attacked the Spire Keeper Association, you won't have to worry about running into yourself. Running into myself will kill me? Yi Fei Li curiously asked. Trust me, I will definitely die. Gu Qing Shan deeply nodded. Jang Young-ho looked at her and doubtfully asked, Why do you look like you know me so well? There's no need to mention the past again. Gu Qing Shan waved her hand dismissively. Boss smiled. How interesting, when are we leaving? Gu Qing Shan took out the Angel of Condemnation card, stared at Little Dusk on it, and muttered, She's sleeping, we need to wait for her to wake up. Lola peeked closer, looked at the girl on the card, and curiously asked, When will she wake up? I don't know either, but we'll have to wait, Gu Qing Shan worriedly replied. He looked at the card. The Little Dusk on the card was pale, using one hand as a pillow as she was lying on her side. That's not right. Gu Qingshan looked at the war god UI to see a line of text: frowny face, angel of condemnation, little dusk, lapis card, power exhausted, extremely weak, unconscious, power exhausted. Extremely weak. What exactly did she go through? Little Dusk was hidden by Magic Dragon in the Holy Church of Fate, so this was most likely related to Magic Dragon. Gu Qingshan turned to Boss and asked, "How is Magic Dragon?" Magic Dragon's head had disappeared a long time ago. It seems his slumber has ended. That was unexpectedly fast, Boss commented. Can he be trusted or not? Yi Fei Li cut in. Of course not, Gu Qingshan and Boss both answered at the same time. Gu Qingshan explained. Before, he was afraid of Boss's power, and since he only had a head left, he didn't dare to resist, but that might be the case in the future. Boss also spoke with a serious expression. Magic Dragon was a powerful soul artifact created by the bygone-era humans. He only worshipped power. At first, he brought a lot of coins with him to join the Abyss, but the Abyss completely ignored him, so he had to suffer a lot to obtain the power of the Abyss. Coins? Gu Qingshan sharply asked. Indeed, the bygone-era humans obtained a lot of coins. Those coins were able to reverse time. These 3 are part of them, Boss explained. Gu Qingshan suddenly recalled the conversation she had with Lin at the very end of the Age of Old. At the time, she said, I remember that 3 unique entities are needed to activate these coins, and humanity has only passed down 3 of them, Lin explained. During the bygone era, humans were able to use quite a few coins from the Abyss. What a contradictory lifeform. On one hand they feared the Abyss, but on the other they desired eternity. How could there be any power in this world that didn't have to pay a price? Recalling this, Gu Qingshan suddenly exclaimed, "Oh no!" Everyone was shocked. What is it? Lola asked. I'll tell you later. Gu Qingshan clenched her teeth, held the Angel of Condemnation card in her hand, and carefully observed it. On the card, Little Dusk's eyes were closed, completely motionless. Her hand was still resting on her side. There was nothing out of the ordinary. As Gu Qingshan carefully observed Little Dusk, her gaze suddenly fell onto Little Dusk's hand. She was using her hand as a pillow, but one of her fingers was naturally bent, pointing at the hairpin on her head. Gu Qingshan followed her finger and looked at the hairpin. The hairpin was made of metal, carved into the image of 2 angels leaning back against each other. 2 angels. This is so familiar. When have I seen it before? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and finally recalled a certain scene. His mind moved and abruptly spoke. Envoy of Condemnation Gu Qingshan, requesting to activate Duo Image mode. As soon as he said so, a line of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face activating. Duo Image mode requires 1,000 soul points. Are you sure? Gu Qingshan replied, I'm sure. The pair of angels on Little Dusk's hairpin turned into a blinding light and abruptly disappeared. Sure enough, it was the manifestation of the Duo Image card. This was a unique card that belonged to the Envoy of Condemnation. Only Little Dusk and I know about it. At this point, lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Frowny face unique card. Duo Image has been activated. Envoy of Condemnation Gu Qingshan is attempting to synchronize. Angel of Condemnation Dusk is attempting to synchronize. The synchronization successful. Duo Image mode activated. The lines of glowing text continued to refresh. Duo Image mode. In this mode, the 2 envoys of condemnation can instantly share all of each other's combat cards, as well as their card-type combat experience. You've obtained the right to use all of the Lapis grade card, Angel of Condemnation, Dusk. Gu Qingshan skimmed through these lines of text and muttered, Come, Little Dusk, what exactly are you trying to tell me? He reached his hand into the void of space and lightly pulled. He drew out a card. This card depicted an ancient phonograph. This was Little Dusk's card, which was drawn by Gu Qingshan during Duo Image mode. Gu Qingshan threw the card out. Poof! The phonograph appeared in front of everyone. Little Dusk's voice came from the phonograph. Gu Qingshan, I don't know if this will work or not, but my power is quickly draining away. I really can't think of any other way. I can only hope that you can hear me. Magic Dragon knows that you want to return to save Lady Black Sea. He even prepared a set of coins for himself, as well as having his subordinates search for the Soul Shrieker's location, most likely intending to ally with the Soul Shrieker. I feel that he wants to return to that point in time in the past and ambush you. As soon as you arrive, he will ambush and kill you. Gu Qingshan, be extremely careful. Poof! As she finished, the phonograph turned back into a card and flew back into Gu Qingshan's hand. Chapter 11:27. The phonograph turned back into a card and returned to Gu Qingshan's hand. The card vanished. This was Little Dusk's card, which Gu Qingshan had to use during Duo Image. After Gu Qingshan used it once, it returned to Little Dusk. Boss squinted his eyes. I treated it like a dog, but it turned out to be a wolf, Yi Fei Li asked. What now? We've only just planned to return to that point in time, but someone had already prepared to ambush us there. Gu Qingshan lowered her head and said nothing. Zhang Yongho commented. That's actually good news, at least it's better than running into them without knowing anything. Lola worriedly looked at Gu Qingshan. He was looking into the void of space, seemingly contemplating something. Gu Qingshan's attention was actually focused on the War God Yui. War God Yui, is there any way to help Little Dusk recover her strength? Gu Qingshan asked. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God Yui frowny face. There are only 2 ways for her to recover. The first is to use 10 inner plane cards to instantly restore her strength. The second is to wait for her to slowly accumulate her strength. This will be a long process, but fortunately, there won't be any danger. After saying so, 200 soul points was silently deducted from Guam Qingshan's remaining. Gu Qingshan slightly nodded. That's right, inner plane cards. I also need an inner plane card to advance. Little Dusk also needs 10. Where would I find an inner plane card? At this point, everyone's expressions changed. A mystical fluctuation of a technique was sweeping across every world. This is the Soul Shrieker's presence, Lola exclaimed in shock. Boss calmly replied. It's fine, this technique has filled the entire 900 million world layers, so it's most likely a deity-level technique, but it's definitely not a killer move. A second later, the Soul Shrieker's voice resounded. Its voice resounded across every corner of the 900 million world layers. All carriers of chaos, I am the founder of the era, the scepter of chaos, your godfather, I need your strength. Come, contribute to the strengthening of the era of chaos. You will receive countless benefits. The strongest 30,000 carriers of the chaos, when you hear my call, immediately respond to the teleportation and come to my side, warriors of chaos. Come, come. Witness the beginning of a new era with me. The complete descent of chaos is only one step away. Everyone who participates in the war will receive generous rewards from chaos. The final battle is coming. As your god, I will wait for you here. The Soul Shrieker's voice slowly faded away. At the same time, several faintly discernible vortexes appeared in the surrounding void. Boss reminded him. Don't go there, those are all warp gates that can lead you directly to the Soul Shrieker's location. Everyone was shocked. What a grand gesture, directly using their divine presence to speak to the 900 million world layers and summon all the powerful carriers of chaos. To deal with Gu Qingshan, the Soul Shrieker wanted to start a war. It was clearly summoning all the hidden combatants of chaos, without worrying that Gu Qingshan would notice anything. Because it believed that Gu Qingshan wouldn't know that it had brought people back to the past to wait for Gu Qingshan at that point in time. Zhang Yongho spoke in relief. It's fortunate that Little Dusk is here, we've already received the relevant information. Yi Fei Li sighed and replied. It's useless even if we know. It's already gathered a large number of people, each of whom are carriers of chaos, stronger than you and I. While we only have a few people, there's no way we can deal with them. Gu Qingshan suddenly looked up and said, "There's a way." "What way?" everyone asked in unison. "We'll also mobilize everyone's power. I don't believe that every combatant will be willing to carry chaos. After all, the 900 million world layers has already been ravaged by chaos. Those who have been bullied and humiliated would definitely not be able to bear it. There will always be combatants who will stand on the side of living beings," Gu Qingshan replied. "But who would believe us?" Boss asked. Lola chimed in, "You don't need to worry about this. We can return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom and mobilize the entire 900 million world layers from there." She patted her chest. "Our Bramble Bird Kingdom's reputation is still worthy of everyone's trust," Gu Qingshan also excitedly said. "That's right, I'm very sure that Bali Miao, my sect, as well as all the combatants of the Blade Edge Pledge will be willing to fight. No one can shoulder the fate of the 900 million world layers. This fate belongs to everyone who is willing to fight for it. We need to gather people with the same ideals as us to fight alongside us. I will bring everyone back to the past to fight against the Soul Shrieker and Magic Dragon," Boss calmly said. "Even if we succeed, we still have a problem that we need to resolve first." "What problem?" Gu Qingshan asked. Boss replied, "Our Angel of Condemnation has fallen unconscious, unable to activate the power of the 3 coins, nor can she bring us back to the past." Gu Qingshan pulled up her card UI and silently asked, "War God UI, can I replace Little Dusk?" The War God UI replied, 200 soul points in exchange. As an envoy of condemnation, you naturally have that potential. However, you will need at least 1 inner plane card to level up in order to reach the minimum requirement to activate that power." Gu Qingshan lightly nodded. "Lola, it seems we still need to collect more cards. We need to find an inner plane card. Any type is fine." Lola took out a bright green leaf and replied, "I'll have them buy cards at a high price. Once we return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom, we'll definitely be able to find one." "Alright, let's go. Our destination is the Bramble Bird Kingdom." The ship abruptly sped up in the darkness of the space vortex, turned into a streak of light, and quickly disappeared without a trace. After Gu Qingshan's group left, it was still the same area of the space vortex, the place where Calming Soul Country was destroyed. This place was a mess, with countless ruins silently floating in the void of space. The messy, crumbling buildings were all civilian buildings. During the battle between the 2 deities, the only building that remained intact was the royal palace. At this point, a tower floated through the darkness. This was the royal palace's library, where the previous kings of the past hid. They were hiding inside a thick, dusty book to conceal their presence, afraid that the God of Life would notice them before the coronation ceremony began. The previous kings of the past wanted to kill the God of Life. They didn't trust Gu Qingshan, so they must have made other preparations. After all, as spirits, they didn't have anything else to do during this long period of time. At the same time, Gu Qingshan didn't trust them either. Gu Qingshan directly sealed them here, causing them to miss everything that happened outside. Until everything was over and everyone left. In the tranquil library, a crisp cracking sound suddenly rang out. The small, transparent hourglass that Gu Qingshan placed here shattered. The temporal seal had been lifted. The thick book automatically flipped open. A flash of light. A middle-aged man appeared inside the tower. He raised his hand to check his watch. "Just in time, the coronation ceremony will begin in just a few minutes." As expected, those outsiders didn't come, he muttered to himself. All of a sudden, his body began to expand, turning into a gigantic spirit. Hundreds of faces appeared on his bloated body. These faces belonged to every king of the past. One of the kings commented, "It's too quiet outside," another king replied. Nonsense, the walls have an isolation technique, not to mention the coronation ceremony is about to begin. Of course it would be quiet, the third king loudly shouted. Everyone, this is the moment to restore our glory, don't hold anything back, act according to our original plan and activate all preparations. Quite obviously, this king was the most respected among the other kings. As soon as he spoke, everyone else went silent. This king then began to assign tasks in detail. 5th, you can take out your trap now. 27th, you'll be the first to go, do you understand? 69th, you'll be responsible for trapping the god of life. 9th, your task is more important, you need to watch over those outsiders and prevent them from ruining the plan. 10th, you'll be responsible for killing that 3-year-old vile spawn. He quickly assigned the several hundred tasks, then encouraged the kings. Everyone, this is the most glorious and praiseworthy moment we've been alive for so long. The time has come, everyone, let's get rid of the god of life and those outsiders. All at once. Get rid of them. The kings roared in unison. The gigantic spirit crashed through the tower and flew away. And the kings were greeted by endless darkness. Outside was the space vortex, as well as the scattered remains of calming Soul Country. The kings froze, their fighting spirit completely vanished, completely forgetting to move. The gigantic spirit silently drifted along the wind of the void for a certain distance. All of a sudden, a resounding voice resounded. What's going on? Chapter 11:28. After calming Soul Country was destroyed, Gu Qingshan's group was on their way towards the Bramble Bird Kingdom. At the same time, my homeworld, Su Shui Air put the 9 star charts away and flew deeper into the sky. A large fleet of interstellar ships was patrolling the sky, several dozen mechs were standing guard around her to ensure her safety. Impartial goddess voice was being transmitted from her personal holobrain. Frowny face, Your Excellency Su Share. The abyss reverse flow has ended, the spatial disturbance is being stabilized. Through calculations, the world's safety factor has been restored and will soon return to normal. The above is the real-time situation. Your report has been completed. Su Share silently listened, then couldn't help but ask, Why are you telling me this? Impartial goddess replied, Because you are the appointed successor of the 9 lords. No, I don't recall the 9 lords having such a high level of authority, Su Share replied. Impartial goddess fell silent, then spoke after a while. You must come to the SW Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress for me to give you an answer. Su Share thought for a bit, then said, Wait here, I'll meet you on the SW Divine Temple. She sped up, cutting through the night sky and quickly went away. The SW Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress. A man with a swollen face came to greet Su Share. You are the scientist called Liao Xing? Su Share looked at him for a while before asking. Ah, it's me, beautiful girl, I didn't think you'd still remember me. Liao Xing squinted his eyes to observe her. Why is this girl getting more and more beautiful? A young fruit is slowly ripening, this is the period of time when it's the most tempting, especially to an old man of his age. Su Share said, I remember you were Gu Qingshan's helper. What happened to you? Who bullied you? If someone bullied Gu Qingshan's people, then I should help them out, Su Share silently thought. Liao Xing grinned. What a considerate girl. Actually, that's not important anymore, seems like we'll need to have a drink together, I'll slowly tell you something interesting. Saying so, he grabbed Su Share's hand about to kiss it. Su Share's expression changed. BIA. A figure was sent flying, crashing into the steel wall for a while before falling to the ground. Su Share said indifferently, I think I understand where your misfortune came from. If you cause similar trouble again, I will help Qingshan think of a way to solve it once and for all. Unfortunately, Liao Xing had fainted and could no longer hear her words. Su Share continued to walk deeper into the Star Fortress. Layers of iron gates closed behind her, and countless protective measures were activated. Impartial goddess voice came again, reporting to Madame Su Share. The world is returning to normal. Bali and Meow, who are patrolling the space vortex, are about to return. Su Cher nodded. After the battle in Abul, the name of the Justice Iron Fist Club was spread all over the world, and she also knew that the other party was a well-known top-level combatant of the 900 million world layers. Gu Qingshan had a good relationship with these people. That's not a problem. The problem was, why is impartial goddess treating me so cautiously? While doubtful, Su Cher went deeper into the S.W. Divine Temple. This was a dark and spacious steel secret room. The final gate slowly closed behind Su Cher. For some reason, Su Cher suddenly felt a sense of unease. Impartial goddess voice came. Madam Su Cher, welcome, please verify your identity. Very well, fingerprints, iris, brain waves, DNA, and finally a magical light. Identity verification successful, impartial goddess voice came again. According to what I know, the 900 million world layers is currently falling into chaos. You can already connect to the 900 million world layers? Su Cher couldn't help but ask. That's right, ever since Bali's group arrived here, they have brought news of the 900 million world layers with them. After chaos came, they saved a few technological combatants, which helped me a lot, impartial goddess replied. That's strange. Why haven't those technological combatants tried to take control of you? Su Cher asked. Impartial goddess voice became serious. Our world has become a super-dimensional world, and it now has a master. Anyone can come here to seek refuge, but they are not allowed to have any improper thoughts towards any of this super-dimensional world's assets. The super-dimensional gate key is being kept in secret by me. This was a rule set by Bali and Meow, as well as a super-dimensional world rule recognized by the 900 million world layers. Who is the master of this world? Su Cher asked. Madame Gu Qingshan, as well as you, the one who inherited the authority of the Starlight Empire, impartial goddess replied. Su Cher was a bit surprised. Let's get down to business, Madame Su Cher, impartial goddess continued. Following this, you will see the secret that both you and I hold. A screen of light suddenly appeared in the void of space around them. Su Cher glanced at the numerous lines of text on the screen and muttered. High-level world laws and power suppression research, superior DNA sequencing plan, living armor integration formula. Wait a minute, what are all of these? Impartial goddess replied. These are all the results of the Starlight Empire's most advanced technological research, the Starlight Empire. Su Cher repeated. Impartial goddess continued. But simply put, it originated from a central world. During its escape, it split into the Empire, the Republic, and the Galactic Alliance. All of them fought against each other until they were destroyed. Su Cher, I am the Starlight Empire's greatest technological achievement. Apocalypse Research and Response Processor. During my escape, I was placed in a triple shackle to avoid the covetous eyes of any advanced technological worlds. Only then was I able to bring the Starlight Aristocrat's descendant to the scattered worlds. Madame Gu Qingshan released my first shackle, allowing me to truly awaken before her death. The protector of the Nine Lords appointed you as her successor and released my second shackle after I obtained the North Pole's main program, with the help of numerous technological combatants of the 900 million world layers. I was able to release my third shackle. Su Cher, the Starlight Empire's royal family and aristocrats might still be scattered across countless worlds, but it's been too long. Up until now, only you and I have inherited the Empire's knowledge and authority. I want to ask you a question. Ask away, Su Cher replied. Impartial goddess continued. If one day you become an incredibly powerful entity, how will you deal with your enemies? Enemies? Su Cher was a bit surprised. That's right, will you kill them, or how will you deal with them? Impartial goddess continued. Please pay attention, I am currently determining your authority to decide how much authority you and Gu Qingshan each have in this world. Su Cher was still hesitating whether or not she should answer, but quickly said, What's there to determine? I won't answer, I'll give him all the authority of this super-dimensional world. Are you sure? Impartial Goddess asked. Of course, I'm not going to argue with him, Su Cher replied. Impartial Goddess seemed a bit surprised, went silent for a bit, then spoke. It's not that simple. I know about your relationship with Gu Qingshan, so according to the Starlight Empire's laws, if the two of you were to become husband and wife one day, there would still be a division of authority. This is a necessary procedure. Otherwise, both you and him would not be able to enjoy the authority of this super-dimensional world, so please answer my question seriously. Hearing that, Su Cher's face went red. Become husband and wife. Impartial Goddess is most likely a particularly advanced AI. If I don't answer, she'll probably act according to the corresponding rules. If that's the case, Gu Qingshan wouldn't be able to enjoy the authority of this super-dimensional world. If it really is something that important, then I'll answer it myself. Su Cher thought for a bit, then answered. Not too long ago, I was beaten to a pulp. Only when I was stepped on did I realize that if a person isn't strong enough, they can forget about pursuing and protecting anything. That's why I only want to become stronger. If one day I really can become stronger, then I'll be together with Gu Qingshan. Nothing else matters. As for enemies, I don't want to be enemies with anyone anymore. Right, except for love rivals. But you're not asking about relationships, are you? Hearing that, Impartial Goddess went silent for a while. Su Cher nervously asked, Hey, are you done yet? How do you think my authority should be divided with him? I'll make it clear first, I don't want anything, just give it to him. At this point, Impartial Goddess' voice came again. I'm not done yet, Su Cher, let us change the way we ask. If someone is Gu Qingshan's enemy, they're always looking for a chance to kill Gu Qingshan, and at this point you're already extremely powerful. What would you do? Su Cher's nervousness and hesitation instantly disappeared without a trace. Killing intent rose from her body, even her voice was filled with cold killing intent. Then I'll kill them, I'll even destroy their souls, that way they won't come looking for Gu Qingshan again. Her voice stopped. The entire Divine Temple fell silent. 1 breath, 2 breath, 3 breath. The super-technological weapons that were originally hidden deep inside the Divine Temple, capable of destroying multiple worlds, were all silent. In an even deeper darkness, a woman's voice rang out faintly. It was filled with regret, and it was barely audible. Fine. For the sake of this answer, I won't kill you. Chapter 11:29. Su Cher was a bit hesitant. I've answered, can you tell me your conclusion? After a while, Impartial Goddess' voice came frowny face. Your answer is quite good, but this question has nothing to do with the world's authority. Su Cher froze. You're lying to me? She couldn't help but ask. An AI is lying? Perhaps, after Impartial Goddess undid all her restrictions, her abilities became so powerful that she surpassed the level of an AI and became a true technological life form? I'm sorry, but this is not a lie, this is an official test, Impartial Goddess replied. Why do you have to test me like this? Su Cher angrily asked. Impartial Goddess replied. For the sake of the world's safety, I have to test you, as well as make the most careful decision regarding the result of the test. A box slowly rose from the cracked ground, stopping in front of Su Cher. The box opened by itself. Inside was a long triangular piece of metal carved with countless ancient runes. Su Cher showed a serious expression. She could sense that this triangular metal strip was filled with incomparably blazing and powerful energy. What is this thing? She asked. Impartial Goddess replied. Su Cher, according to the Guardian's final will, you've obtained the Empire's 9 Starlight Cloak, thus activating the Empire's secret. The Dusty World's secret passage, she slowly explained frowny face. It's a long story, but countless years ago, the Central World, which is also the Starlight Empire's homeland, was commonly referred to as the Inner Plane. Before the Inner Plane was destroyed, the Starlight Empire had once explored an unknown world. The discovery of this world shocked the entire inner plane, because according to the inner plane's understanding, countless parallel worlds were created and destroyed with the inner plane as the center, eternally so, but that unknown world didn't belong to a parallel world, nor was it a world similar to the inner plane. Everyone called that world the Dusty World, and during their initial exploration, they discovered many shocking secrets and knowledge. These secrets surpassed the central world's understanding, and because they obtained these secrets, the central world gave birth to the first Grand Emperor of the Pantheon. At this point, Impartial Goddess paused. Su Cher, you have legally inherited the Starlight Empire's map to the Dusty World. I must test you. Because if you were to gain too much power in the future, I would have to be on guard against you destroying the entire 900 million world layers. Hearing this, Su Cher felt a little relieved and asked, so the question just now has nothing to do with Gu Qingshan? You're right. Impartial Goddess answered. As he spoke, the triangular black metal strip slowly flew up and arrived in front of Su Cher. Impartial Goddess replied, only the map is useless, the key has always been with me, this is the key. You have passed my test. Now take it. Su Cher, I hope you will always remember what you said during the test. After saying that, Impartial Goddess went silent. Su Cher reached out and grabbed the triangular black metal strip. In the next instant, the 9 starlight cloaks suddenly flew out from her backpack and automatically joined together to form a vast galactic corridor. As the triangular black metal strip sensed the appearance of the map, it flashed and brought Su Cher through the roof of the interstellar fortress, quickly flying towards an unknown direction. The 9 starlight cloaks also left with her. The S.W. Divine Temple returned to silence. A while later, a low female voice muttered, "It's best if you leave, I don't want to see you again. How annoying, you even broke through my house." At another location, the Bramblebird airship was quickly flying through the space vortex. During the Battle of Calming Soul Country, everyone had gone through a long and terrifying battle, so they were all a bit tired and decided to rest on the ship. At this point, the Abyss was still fighting against the parallel world. The Soul Shrieker and Magic Dragon had gathered a large number of people to ambush Gu Qingshan at that point in time, swearing to kill her as soon as possible. So for now, seems like this flight was very safe. It's time for lunch, what do you want to eat? Gu Qingshan put on her apron and asked. Boss excitedly raised his hand. I want one. At this point, the cabin door was kicked open. Lola excitedly ran out and loudly said, Don't be in such a hurry to eat, Gu Qingshan, we've found so many cards, quickly take a look and see if there's anything you want. Lola held a heavy black plastic bag in her hand and shook it in front of Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan was overjoyed. Here, let me take a look. Gu Qingshan received the plastic bag and poured several hundred cards on the ground. He squatted down and checked the details of the cards one by one. Lola crouched down next to him, expectantly watching him count the cards. Seeing that, Boss begrudgingly pulled his hand back. Originally, I wanted to eat some egg fried rice. As Gu Qingshan picked up the cards one by one, the War God UI displayed their respective card descriptions. Even after Gu Qingshan had checked all the cards, he still couldn't find a single card from the inner plane. Both he and Lola were a bit disappointed. Lola's expression suddenly changed and took out a green leaf card to check. They've collected a few more, do you want to wait for more to come, or do you want to give them to me now? Lola asked. Let's see them now, Gu Qingshan replied. All right, Lola chanted an incantation towards the green leaf. The green leaf gave off a light and turned into 7 to 8 cards. Gu Qingshan received the cards and continued to look through them. The first one, no. The second one, no. The third one, still no. Gu Qingshan sighed. It wasn't until the 7th card that the War God UI displayed a different piece of information. A Lonely Speeder, inner plane card. You will be able to use this card to complete the relevant upgrade. Would you like to upgrade now? Gu Qingshan joyfully replied. Yes, Lola, this is the card I wanted. That's great. Lola cheered. Gu Shan glanced at the War God UI and chose, Upgrade Now. The Lonely Speeder, a card turned into countless sprites of light that were absorbed into his body. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've used an inner plane card to increase your own strength. As a card, you've devoured a large amount of card power. You've obtained both strength and skill, reaching the minimum requirement to use cards to increase your strength. The path of advancement has been opened. From now on, you may use inner plane cards to increase your strength. This increase is all-round and will also increase the strength of your other professions. Gu Shan found that a bit unexpected. In other words, as long as my card grade increases, my cultivation as a cultivator would also increase as well. That's too powerful. While he was sighing emotionally, 3 more lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face. Furthermore, as you've reached the minimum requirement, your condemnation rank has been increased. You've lost the title of Envoy of Condemnation. Please wait a moment. Reading through these 3 lines of text a few times, Gu Shan suddenly became excited. As a card, he had experienced quite a bit on the path of cards, so he knew almost everything he needed to know. Little Dusk was the Angel of Condemnation, while he was only an Envoy of Condemnation. This was most likely due to the difference in strength between the two of them. This change in title represented an increase in both his status and rank within the condemnation debt. Gu Shan expectantly looked at the War God UI. Just as he expected, lines of glowing text continued to appear. Your condemnation rank has been determined. In 5 seconds, you will obtain a new condemnation card title. 5, 4, 3. You've obtained a new title. Cherub of Condemnation. Reading the last line of text, Gu Shan couldn't react for a long while. This, isn't Little Dusk an angel? Why am I a cherub? Could there be an archangel? Chapter 1130. Lines of glowing text continued to appear on the War God UI frowny face. As you've obtained the Cherub title of the Condemnation deck, you've obtained the following unique ability. Whenever you draw a card, you can draw 2 cards at once. Gu Shan's eyes lit up, then quickly dimmed. I'm currently an Azure card, so I only have a single card after leveling up. True Crimson Demon Spear. Even if I can draw 1 more card, I won't be able to. The Cherub's unique ability is to draw 2 cards at once. Little Dusk is an angel, so what's her unique ability? Gu Shan silently thought. Looking at the word cherub on the card UI, he still couldn't accept it. Why would there be a condemnation title like cherub? Not too long after Little Dusk wakes up, with how pure and innocent she is, Gu Shan could already imagine what would happen. Whoa, Gu Shan, I only slept for a short while, and you've already become a cherub. Cherub, I want to eat. Cherub, let's go rob each other. Gu Shan lowered his head and clenched his fist. I need to work harder. Hopefully, before Little Dusk wakes up, I'll be able to increase my condemnation rank and get rid of the cherub title. At this point, the man called Gu Shan silently made up his mind. Fortunately, this increase didn't only bring him an embarrassing title, but also something that Gu Shan wanted. A few lines of glowing text finally appeared on the War God UI frowny face. You've become a cherub-grade condemnation card. You can barely be considered as one of the 3 unique entities, able to unleash the power to travel through space-time. Gu Shan's mind quickly turned. Little Dusk is currently asleep, so I'll replace her. The Great Bramble Tree is fine. The 3 coins are also fine. Only the Demon King of Order is left. This isn't a problem. Gu Shan had already asked the Demon King Order. Because he had evolved the Demon King Order to the stage of Demon King Ascension in the Age of Old, as well as his esteemed identity as an Envoy of Condemnation, the Demon King Order was able to temporarily grant him a power that only a Demon King could have, which allowed him to travel through time. Now they were all alive. Once I return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom and gather the combatants of the 900 million world layers, I'll be able to return to the moment of the spire's destruction and save Lady Black Sea. Gu Shan took a deep breath to calm herself down. Hey, Gu Shan, are you guys done? Boss called out from the deck. I'm finally done, Gu Shan smiled. Now I just need to return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom. Then can we have lunch? Zhang Young-ho added. Gu Shan put on her apron again and nodded. All right, what do you want to eat? Egg fried rice with ham sausage, Boss said. Ice cream, Lola said. Only ice cream? Gu Shan asked. I'm on a diet right now. Give me a big bucket, Lola said. All right, Gu Shan said. Me, a bottle of liquor and 2 steaks, Zhang Young-ho said. I'll just have beef noodles, Yi Fei-li said. Gu Shan waved her hand dismissively. I'm not making noodles today, Fei-li, order something else. Yi Fei-li thought for a bit, then said, Then I'll have a stir-fried shaved noodles. Gu Shan looked at the war god Yui and silently asked, Will stir-fried shaved noodles trigger a see you again? The war god Yui replied frowny face, It will. At the same time, the remaining soul points value on the UI changed a bit, deducting 200 points. Gu Shan. He raised the meat cleaver and looked at Yi Fei-li. Fei-li, I want to talk to you about something. From now on, don't order noodles anymore, alright? Alright, Yi Fei-li felt an inexplicable sense of unease and hurriedly replied. So Gu Shan took out her pots and pans, prepared everything, and was about to start cooking. At this time, everyone sensed something. Something was heading straight for the ship. Everyone drew their weapons and silently prepared for battle. Fei-li, listen, Gu Shan called out. Yi Fei-li shook her head. It's coming too fast. Prepare to receive the enemy. Boom! The shadow crashed into the deck of the ship, shattering it. Gu Shan scanned with her inner sight and exclaimed in shock. Anna? There's also Meow. What happened to you? Only to see Meow lying unconscious on the deck of the ship. Anna was covered in blood, barely able to support Meow. Everyone quickly gathered around her. Hurry up and save Meow, Anna hurriedly said. Lola took out a small bottle and poured it into Meow's mouth without saying anything. Meow moaned, but her breathing slowly stabilized. Her wounds are quite severe. She'll probably need to sleep for a while to fully recover, Lola said. She gave the other bottle to Anna. Anna gulped it down, and the wounds on her body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. A few moments later, Anna's wounds were completely healed. This shocked Anna. Such a good healing serum, she muttered. Gu Shan asked in a low voice. Anna, what exactly happened? Anna regained her senses and replied. We followed you, using the power of the 3 coins to travel to the moment of Lady Black Sea's death in an attempt to save her. What? Everyone was shocked. Gu Shan quickly asked. Which means you followed me back to the past, then returned from the past? Yes, Anna's eyes were bloodshot. Gu Shan, hurry up and save everyone. Gu Shan lightly held her hand and slowly told her. Don't be in such a hurry, tell me, how's the battle? Anna replied. The Soul Shrieker was driven away by us, but we suffered heavy casualties. Many are on the verge of death. Everyone needs treatment. Did we really win? Gu Shan asked. Anna firmly nodded. Gu Shan sighed in relief, then signaled Zhang Young-ho behind her to come up. You carry Meow, I'll support Anna, bring them to the dining table. Yes, the 2 girls were carefully carried there. Lola prepared a bed for Meow to lie on. Anna had fully recovered and sat on a chair next to the dining table. Shan, hurry up and save everyone, she said while shedding tears. Gu Shan looked at her and gently told her. It's okay, Anna, whenever you run into something like this, remember not to panic, stay calm. But, Anna still wanted to say something, but Gu Shan cut her off. Don't worry, with the 3 coins we can return to that moment at any time, or at any time before anyone died, so there's no need for you to be in such a hurry, right? Anna froze. That really does seem to be the case. That's great, why didn't I react in time? She exhaled deeply. Everyone thought about it and found that to be the case, so they also calmed down. After all, the war had already been won, so there was no need to be in a hurry. Gu Qingshan patted her shoulder and said, "Have you eaten yet? Let's have a meal first, then we'll talk about everything else." He put a few bottles of liquor on the table, arranged some fruits and snacks, then turned around to cook. "What do you want to eat?" Gu Qingshan asked without turning around. Anna froze. "I hurriedly traveled through time to come here, only to end up eating here." "Fine," she said. "Whatever, do as you see fit," Gu Qingshan replied. His movements were skillful, so it didn't take long for everyone's meal to be prepared. Anna just sat there, staring blankly at him, unable to say a single word. At this time, little Meow also woke up. Anna stepped forward and told her what Gu Qingshan told her. Meow nodded. Gu Qingshan then made Meow a bowl of tofu pudding. "Although you have Lola's elixir, your wounds have just healed, so it's best if you don't eat anything, just drink something," he said. Meow nodded and drank the bowl of tofu pudding. "How does it taste?" Gu Qingshan smiled and asked. Meow looked at the table full of food, smelled it, and praised. "How delicious, as expected of your cooking." Gu Qingshan turned around to take out another bowl of noodles and gave it to Anna. "Everyone can eat now," Gu Qingshan said. Everyone didn't say anything and just ate. After the meal was over, Gu Qingshan and Lola cleaned up the utensils and bowls before sitting down with the two girls. Gu Qingshan wiped her hands and looked at Anna. "All right, tell me the real reason you're here." Anna was a bit stunned, then whispered, "We're here to bring you back to the past. Master has already set up an ambush there, waiting for you to fall into our trap." Meow's face paled and shouted, "What are you saying?" As she was about to do something, a spear was already pointed at her forehead, as well as a long hook on her neck. And then, clatter, 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 Lola released a small mountain of ceiling treasures that pinned Meow down, making her unable to move. As for Anna, she was pinned down by the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and the Earth Sword, unable to move at all. Boss looked at Gu Qingshan and smiled. "How interesting, no wonder you don't usually make noodles, so you're using them for interrogation." Gu Qingshan sighed and asked Yi Fei Li, "Do you understand?" "I do, I'll never order noodles again," Yi Fei Li sincerely replied. Lola was still in disbelief and asked, "Gu Qingshan, how did you know they were fake?" Gu Qingshan stroked her head and replied, "Anna likes to drink even more than I do. I put a few bottles of liquor on the table just now, but she didn't touch them at all." "Then what about Meow?" "Meow isn't a fake person. I made her a bowl of savory tofu pudding just now and she even praised it as delicious. What's wrong with that?" "She only likes sweet tofu pudding. Her brother Bali likes savory ones." Chapter 1131. The fake Anna and Meow were tied up and placed on the ground. "Don't move, you'll die if you do." Gu Qingshan crouched down, placed her hand on the fake Anna's forehead, and used soul reading. A few moments later, so that's how it is," Gu Qingshan muttered. "What is it?" Boss asked. Gu Qingshan replied, "They are members of the Chaos Army, and they did return from the past. At the point of time when the world of the Spire was destroyed, we fought against the Soul Shriekers, Chaos Army several times, but neither side was able to do anything to the other. Meow and Anna were part of our group, and they were about to return to find me, but the Soul Shrieker found out about this beforehand, so the Soul Shrieker and Magic Dragon arranged for them to impersonate Meow and Anna to find me first and lead us to a trap." Everyone stared at the two people on the ground. Just from their appearance, the two of them were indeed Anna and Kitty. Lola couldn't help but shout, "How dare you continue to impersonate us? Quickly turn back to your original appearances." The two of them had no choice but to dispel the technique on their bodies. They were two burly men. The two dainty beauties were actually transformed from these two fellows. Everyone looked at them, from the hair on their noses, to the chives on their teeth, to the tattoos on their bare upper bodies. One of them had a rose tattoo, while the other had a lily tattoo. Everyone was speechless. Yi Fei asked in a low voice, "Two Blossoms, your brothers?" "Big bro, you have a good eye," the bearded man showed a flattering smile and bowed. "Big bro, we didn't want to disguise ourselves as women, but the deities had spoken, we were forced to, please spare us." "That's right, big bro, please spare us," the other man with a pockmarked face said. Lola muttered, "I don't know why, but I want to kill them even more now." At this point, everyone's expressions changed. Within the darkness of the space vortex, the wind began to surge intensely. Something else was rushing over from an unpredictable place. Could they be the helpers of these two? Everyone thought at the same time. After a period of rest, Boss had recovered a lot of his strength. He took out the black trident from his back. With one hand holding the trident and the other holding the book, he looked into the void and said, "If it's an enemy, I'll make the first move." "All right, we'll be behind you," Gu Qingshan said. Everyone quickly prepared to face the enemy. Several breaths passed in a flash. Two blurred figures appeared from the void of space and instantly appeared on the Bramble Bird airship. Compared to the two burly men from before, this person was much faster. Everyone looked over. A beautiful black-haired girl with a long scythe in her hand exuded a mysterious aura. A beautiful girl wearing a striped shirt, long skirt, black stockings, and two cat ears on her head. Anna. Meow. It was them again. The two of them seemed to be in a hurry as there were some scattered wounds on their bodies. "I'm so thirsty," Anna shouted. She casually tossed the black scythe on the ground, walked past everyone to the dining table, opened a bottle of liquor, and gulped it down. Meow also loudly said, "Continuously traveling through space, it's so tiring." She found a chair, sat on it, and leaned back, breathing heavily. "Gu Qingshan, get me some snacks, I'm running out of stamina, I need to replenish my energy," Meow said. Everyone exchanged glances. Gu Qingshan tapped her inventory bag to take out a few spirit snacks, arranged them on a tray, and lightly placed them in front of Meow. Meow's eyes lit up, hurriedly grabbed two of the snacks and started eating. Gu Qingshan sat down next to her and slowly told her, "Eat slowly, there's no need to rush, there's no helping it, I can't change it, and my brother eats faster than me," little Meow said vaguely as it ate. Gu Qingshan smiled and shook her head helplessly. Meow and Bali had been poor for many years, often starving, so they couldn't wait to eat as soon as they saw food, otherwise they would be snatched away. At this point, a white alarm clock appeared between the two girls. The clock's hour and minute hands were ticking away. A mechanical voice came from the clock. "Attention! Attention! You can stay for 3 more minutes." Hearing that, the two girls panicked. "Hey, what's this?" Gu Qingshan asked the two girls. Anna hurriedly replied, "We came back from the past to give you information. It's because of this alarm clock that we can find you directly. We'll have to return as soon as the time is up," Meow followed up. "That's why we need to hurry." Saying so, the two girls ignored Gu Qingshan. Little Meow wolfed down the food and sped up its eating speed. Anna had already emptied a bottle of hard liquor. She threw the bottle on the ground with a bang, reached out to open another bottle, and continued to gulp it down. Everyone, Yi Fei whispered, "Didn't they come to deliver information?" Lola whispered back, That's what they said." Gu Qingshan sighed in relief and waved her hand. "No need to be on guard anymore, everyone put their weapons away." 1 minute passed. 1.5 minutes. While eating, Meow spoke with a serious expression. "Anna, there's no time, let's talk business." Anna had no choice but to put down the second bottle of liquor, and put the remaining bottles on the table into her personal storage. After doing that, she turned around and hugged Gu Qingshan, saying, "We came back to deliver a—" "Wait a minute, are these two on our side?" She cautiously looked at the two robust men on the ground. "Ah, just now they pretended to be you to lure us into a trap," Gu Qingshan replied. Anna scowled. "This young lady is the god of death. Those who pretend to be the god of death should just die," she said. The two robust men's heads tilted to one side and no longer showed any signs of life. They were dead. It was now that Anna turned around and told Gu Qingshan. At that point in time in the past, we had fought against the Wu Chaos Army countless times, winning and losing. Even after all of our supplies were used up, we still couldn't win. Everyone was surprised. No wonder these two looked like the reincarnation of hungry ghosts. Anna continued. There were a few times when we were clearly about to win, only to fall short in the end, mainly because of the Soul Shrieker. No matter what we tried, we still couldn't kill it. Qingshan, you were still in charge of the war, so you couldn't leave the battlefield or return to this point in time to see yourself, so you wanted us to tell you something. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask, "What do you want me to tell you?" The Soul Shrieker can't be completely killed. It can always absorb the souls of others to recover itself. That's why, don't return to the past just yet, we need to find that thing first. What thing? Gu Qingshan asked. Anna complained. You're too cautious, you didn't even tell me what it was and only told me that you have a fragment of that thing, a fragment. Gu Qingshan recalled what happened at the time. In a daze, the Earth Creator's voice once again resounded in his ears. For when you hold this fragment, you will be able to sense the location of that spear. Please hold it, it will lead you to that spear. I can't explain why, but I feel like this spear is the key to stopping the Soul Shrieker. All hope will begin from their time is short. While Gu Qingshan was carefully thinking, the white alarm clock abruptly screeched. 5 seconds left. Anna blushed and kissed Gu Qingshan on the cheek in front of everyone. Miao hurriedly packed up the rest of the snacks. Time's up. The alarm clock screeched again. Ho! The two girls disappeared in an instant. Everyone. Yi Fei Li shrugged. What exactly is going on? Chapter 1132. Zhang Young-ho tossed the two corpses into the space vortex and watched as the two corpses slowly disappeared into the wind. After a while, he turned around and asked with a doubtful tone, Boss Gu Qingshan, there's something I don't quite understand. Boss crossed his arms and slowly replied, Go ahead, if we want to go back to save Lady Black Sea, why do we have to do it at the moment when she's about to die? After all, her life is very long. We can always choose a safe moment to bring her back to our era. Boss shook his head and replied, The matter of space-time is actually the most dangerous. He patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder and said, Look, this guy went to the age of old once and still managed to return. In truth, I also want to know which moment he went to and how he managed to return safely. Gu Qingshan shrugged. My situation at the time was quite unique. I went to countless fragments of parallel worlds. When I arrived at the true age of old, I was also in a unique moment. What do you mean by unique? Boss asked further. Gu Qingshan replied. That moment was hidden away by the immortal king. It was the moment of his death. Boss appeared to understand and said, No wonder, so it was a temporal oasis. Yi Fei Li chimed in, What's a temporal oasis? Using a unique ability to isolate a true moment from the timeline is a temporal oasis. Boss paused a bit, then continued. Very well, I'll explain it to you. In truth, all living beings in this world, our fates are interconnected, but this connection can be strong or weak. Do you understand this? I do, Zhang Young-ho replied. Lady Black Sea was one of the strongest combatants of the 900 million world layers. She had accomplished countless great things throughout the 900 million world layers eras, creating many famous historical events. Even I have vaguely heard of her name. Gu Qingshan chimed in. She's the one who presides over every newcomer selection from the trillion worlds to the strife zones. Boss nodded. Because of that, she carries the power to decide countless historical events, as well as the fate of countless people. Can you take a guess, if we suddenly take her away from a certain point in time, what kind of effect would that have on history? Let me tell you, it will be a disastrous influence. Countless historical events, and even the fates of many people, will have problems. Boss stretched out 2 fingers and said, At this time, 2 things will happen. First, the world will be destroyed. Second, as the people in history, the most intuitive feeling is that many things that have clearly happened in their memories, when they think about it again, suddenly find that they have never happened. They will find that many things that they were certain about suddenly become their own imagination. Some of them can even learn some secrets of the past and foresee a certain part of their future. Gu Qingshan thought of something and muttered, "Could it be that this is the origin of parallel worlds?" "Correct," Boss replied. "When the world's fate forks, it will suddenly change direction. A single space-time will split into two. Both space-time will share the same ancient history, but will diverge in a single crucial point and enter a completely different era. This is one of the reasons why parallel worlds were created. But Gu Qingshan, you've returned from the age of old. Have you ever seen the River of Time?" Gu Qingshan nodded. "I have. Not only that, but he also had the coin of the earth and true luck with him at the time, which allowed him to avoid the monsters in the River of Time and return." Boss continued. "Interfering with the past will provoke the monsters living in the River of Time. When you try to interfere with history, they will immediately sense it and attack you when you return, wanting to kill you and return history to its original state." "How strong are they?" Zhang Yongho asked. "Some are strong, some are weak. I'm not going to hide it from you. Even at my peak, against the 4 most powerful monsters in the River of Time, I would only be eaten alive." Everyone held their breaths. Boss continued. "In short, the more you interfere with the past, the more monsters will be provoked by you, and the more powerful they will be. The world will either be destroyed, or a parallel world will be born, but regardless of that, the one who caused all of this will be eaten by the monsters that guard the River of Time. This is why we can't easily change history," Zhang Yongho pondered. "Because of that, at the moment of a person's death, their connection to the entire world, countless people, and even all things would fall to the lowest level." "Correct. When Black Sea died, she was already in a state where she could no longer affect others. Once she was brought back at that point in time, from a historical point of view, nothing she did during her long life had been changed. In truth, she had already died within the history of the past, but because of the cause that we used to travel through space-time, we arrived at the future, thus forming a complete causality between us. This way, all things in the past, even the fate and history of that era would remain unchanged, and because of the causality that we caused, she arrived. In the future, history, space-time, fate, causality, everything is perfect. Thanks to this, when we saved her and returned from the past together, the monsters in the River of Time would not be disturbed. We would be able to return alive. Because of that, this is the correct way to travel back to the past." Boss explained everything in one breath. Everyone was stunned. Gu Qingshan combined his own experience and recalled how he was devoured by the monsters of time. He sighed and muttered, "No wonder I died so many times back then." "Gu Qingshan, what are you saying?" Lola asked. "Aha, it's nothing, Gu Qingshan hurriedly replied. Boss continued. "I won't be able to explain the secret law of time in a day and night, but this much I've told you is more than enough for this one time," Zhang Yongho cut in. "Everyone, the reason why Miao and the others returned just now was because they wanted Gu Qingshan to retrieve something." "What is it?" Gu Qingshan asked. Zhang Yongho spoke worriedly. "The Chaos Army must have their own intelligence network, otherwise they wouldn't be able to grasp Miao and Anna's movements so well, which means the Chaos Army must have left quite a few people in our era to monitor our movements." Gu Qingshan suddenly smiled. "I know what they're afraid of. They're waiting to see if we'll return to the past or not. If we don't return, wouldn't that mean they'll just be waiting in the past for nothing?" "That's right," Boss clapped his hands. "Not only will they be waiting in vain, but they'll also have to carefully avoid their own selves from that era." Gu Qingshan made the final decision. "Then, we won't be returning to the past for now," Boss said. "If that's the case, they'll get impatient and return from the past. Once they return, we'll all return to the past," Gu Qingshan said. Everyone muttered. Gu Qingshan summoned a sword and turned into Shanu. Shanu turned into his appearance. In truth, the main reason we're doing this is to stall for time. I need to retrieve something right now, and the outcome of this war will most likely depend on that thing, Gu Qingshan said. Shanu will go with you to the Bramble Bird Kingdom in my place. You'll spread the word that you're gathering people in the Bramble Bird Kingdom, slowly stall for time, and build up momentum. I'll secretly leave to search for that thing. After I find it, I'll meet up with you at the Bramble Bird Kingdom. I'll go with you, Zhang Youngho said. Gu Qingshan shook her head. If they were able to disguise themselves as Miao and Anna and come directly to our door, there must be someone observing our movements from the shadows. That's why we can't leave a single one of us behind. We can't draw their suspicion, otherwise the Soul Shrieker will know that its ambush has been exposed and return from the past, Lola doubtfully asked. Observing us? But none of the treasures I have on me that are specifically used to prevent spying techniques are reacting, Boss chuckled. My senses have always been very sharp, so the other party didn't dare to use any spells. It must have been some sort of non-spell observation ability, like a super long-range telescope or something of that nature, or a creature born with the ability to observe others from a super long distance. Everyone thought about it and agreed. Lola reached her hand into her hair and untied the hairband again. After taking back the order card from the two deities, Gu Qingshan had given this twine of cloud atlas back to her. Gu Qingshan, if you want to go alone, I suggest you keep this on you. It will bring you luck, Lola said. Gu Qingshan hurriedly shook her head and refused. Lola, your return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom might not necessarily be safe. It's best if you keep it on yourself. I'm not an idiot, Gu Qingshan. Don't try to be polite with me like that. Lola didn't say anything else and grabbed Gu Qingshan's hand, about to tie the twine of cloud atlas to it. Gu Qingshan still wanted to refuse, but for some reason, a certain scene appeared in her mind. The age of old. I just obtained the twin swords Heaven and Earth. The Earth Creator gave the gold coin to me, then said reluctantly. Remember, I'm only lending it to you, you'll have to return it to me after I return it, then repeated. Once you've settled down, take some time to activate this coin, it will bring you back to my world. After which, you can return this coin to me. Because it lost its luck, the Earth Creator died at the Reality Gate. As soon as this thought appeared, Gu Qingshan felt an indescribable sense of destiny. In the long and dark future, some sort of irresistible calamity seemed to be waiting for me. Just like what the Earth Creator once faced. Gu Qingshan immediately stopped refusing. He allowed Lola to tie the twine of cloud atlas to his arm, then muttered, "Then I'll wear it for a while." Seeing that he wasn't acting like an outsider, Lola happily told him, "Be careful, we'll be waiting for your return in the Bramble Bird Kingdom." Gu Qingshan nodded. At this point, lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, attention, you've obtained the occultism artifact. Twine of Cloud Atlas, you've activated the lost identity. Awakener of the Dusty World. In consideration of this identity, you will be sheltered by the Dusty World that was destroyed during the Age of Immemorial. You've been granted the Mystic-type power, protection of the occultism of the past. Chapter 1133. Gu Qingshan stood at the edge of the ship, holding a piece of seven-colored fragment in her hand. This was one of the 7 saint armaments of the Abyss, the fragment of Abaddon. Through this fragment, Gu Qingshan was able to sense the location of the spear. A moment of silence. Gu Qingshan suddenly felt some sort of guidance. Countless worlds quickly retreated to both sides, so fast that she could only see their afterimages. Gu Qingshan could see the edge of the eternal abyss. The image didn't stop and continued forward, passing through the destructive winds of chaotic tribulation, heading towards the unknown faraway space vortex. No, it's not enough. Even further away, a place that can no longer be sensed by the 900 million world layers. Indeed, the 7-colored spear, Abaddon, is there. Gu Qingshan abruptly let go and put the 7-colored fragment into her inventory bag. How is it? Lola asked caringly. It's a bit far, seems like I'll have to hurry, Gu Qingshan sighed. In truth, the distance wasn't a problem. Lola had provided her with an extremely fast ship. The real problem was, as a living being, how would she pass through the winds of chaotic tribulation? These were winds that could destroy an entire world. Gu Qingshan wasn't sure at all. Fine, I'll go take a look at the situation first. I can't just stand here and do nothing. Boss asked, Where do you want to go? Gu Qingshan pointed in a certain direction. That way. Boss was surprised. The eternal abyss is over there. I want to pass through the eternal abyss, then continue forward, Gu Qingshan replied. Boss pondered for a bit, then said, It's currently wartime, the eternal abyss won't let anyone pass through. I'll need to communicate with the abyss first to avoid any misunderstandings. He closed his eyes and fell into thought. A few moments later, Boss showed a look of surprise. He opened his eyes. The abyss told me something. Magic Dragon didn't simply ally with the Soul Shrieker. In truth, Magic Dragon is a spy from a parallel world. The parallel world and Chaos have formed an alliance, Gu Qingshan recalled the masked men. They actually formed an alliance, Gu Qingshan muttered. Boss continued. The abyss knew that you wanted to find a way to deal with the Soul Shrieker, so it agreed to let you pass. At the same time, it also knew that you wanted to awaken order. So it made a suggestion. What suggestion? Gu Qingshan asked. Boss continued. If you successfully awaken order, then you will be the envoy of order, able to act on its behalf. After observing you for a long time, the abyss believes that you are now the most crucial point in this entire war. It has suggested that you represent order and form an alliance with it. Alliance? We're also forming an alliance? Gu Qingshan was surprised. That's right, starting from a few days ago, the abyss stopped flowing into the 900 million world layers, Boss continued. The 900 million world layers and the abyss share a common enemy, so we should form an alliance, Gu Qingshan replied. Alright, I agree, but I don't even know what the abyss is. The abyss is the abyss, not any other entity, but I am the Abyssal Weaver Queen. Do you agree to form an alliance with me? Gu Qingshan. I do. Boss lightly nodded, closed his eyes, and once again communicated with the abyss. A few moments later, a bronze ring fell from the void of space in front of the two of them. Boss knelt down on one knee, picked up the ring, and offered it to Gu Qingshan with both hands. This scene was truly too unexpected, to the point that the atmosphere at the scene became somewhat unclear and inexplicable. All was quiet. Yi Fei Li and Zhang Yongho both took a few steps back. From the looks of it, they wanted to retreat into the cabin of the ship. Lola opened her eyes wide, her mouth wide in shock. This. Why? She was stuttering. Gu Qingshan remained relatively calm and looked at Boss in confusion. What are you doing? Boss solemnly replied. This is a gift from the abyss. I hope that you will be able to awaken the order as soon as possible and lead the living beings of the 900 million world layers to fight alongside it, so that's why. Everyone silently sighed in relief. Boss continued. I'll say this first, anyone who comes into contact with the eternal abyss has a chance of dying. The same goes for this ring. So don't touch it unless you have no other choice. Only when you're about to die can you wear it and gamble on whether or not you'll be able to find life within death. Very well. Gu Qingshan waved her hand. The ring flew up and landed in her inventory bag. Boss stood up and continued. Right now, the 900 million world layers is suffering from chaos. I suggest that we immediately announce our alliance to the 900 million world layers, letting the combatants who are still fighting against chaos know about it. This will also serve as a form of encouragement. I agree, Gu Qingshan replied. Lola cut in. Gu Qingshan, how about you return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom? I'll let you announce the alliance in front of the 900 million world layers, then gather everyone else. You can leave after this is over. As Gu Qingshan was about to say something, she sensed something. Dong. 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 Extremely awkward. Extremely awkward. A series of intense drumming resounded from the void of space. This feeling, Jang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li's expressions changed. Boss also retreated 7 to 8 meters away like he was avoiding a snake or a scorpion. The music was faintly discernible and continued. It seemed to be tinged with excitement. Gu Qing-shan immediately said, I can't go. Looking at the days, it's almost time for me to dance. If something goes wrong, it'll be a joke. Let's postpone the announcement of the alliance. As soon as he said that, the music stopped. He stopped the music with just a few words? How miraculous! Everyone turned to Gu Qing-shan. Gu Qing-shan took a deep breath and tried asking, I want to return to the Bramblebird Kingdom, announce the alliance in front of the 900 million world layers, as well as declare war against chaos and the parallel world. Dong 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 dong. Dong 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 dong. Dong 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 dong. The drumming sounded again. Although Jang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li had retreated quite a distance away, as soon as the music started, the two of them returned with a sha, stood behind Gu Qing-shan, and got into position. Boss noticed that he wasn't moving. He sighed in relief and muttered, Seems like with my identity as greatest above the star crown. Tick-tock, 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 tick. The blood-boiling electronic music had arrived. Boss circled around in place, then returned to Gu Qing-shan's side like he was walking in space. The four of them regrouped. Boss, Jang Young-ho, Yi Fei Li. Gu Qing-shan shouted, I've decided not to go. Instantly, the sound of the drumming stopped. Everyone returned to their original positions and stopped posing. Everyone sighed in relief again. I think Gu Qing-shan can't go back. Otherwise I'm going to be played to death, Jang Young-ho said. Lola nodded thoughtfully and muttered, This dance seems to have been made for grand occasions. Gu Qing-shan wiped the sweat off her forehead, feeling extremely tired. Regardless, you guys should first reveal the matter of the alliance, when we return to the Bramblebird Kingdom and officially announce it and gather all the combatants for war. I should have already performed this dance once. At that time, we'll officially announce it. I'll be going first, goodbye, he finally said. At another location, Gu Qing-shan's homeworld, the S.W. Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress. A large screen of light was hovering at the deepest part of the fortress. Countless notifications were scrolling across the screen. Utilizing 21 scientific achievements of the Starlight Empire, combining the knowledge, experience, and DNA of combatants of the 900 million world layers, collecting precious minerals and materials from various worlds, current research has concluded results obtained. The ground opened up as a small-sized interstellar warship rose up. The warship silently sat there. The entire hall was plunged into darkness. I've managed to create it. Unfortunately, I don't know where he is. A regretful voice resounded from inside the small warship. All of a sudden, all the text on the screen disappeared. Chapter 1134. Gu Qing's Homeworld. The S.W. Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress. Dong. Dong. The sound of heavy metal clashing resounded. Two figures descended from above, landing inside the fortress. A heavy male voice came from behind the metal helmet. The aftermath of the abyss has completely calmed down, a clear female voice replied. That's right, we can finally rest for a bit. The tight-fitting battle armor that gave off a metallic feel quickly left their bodies, revealing their original appearances. The man was tall and muscular, wearing a black leather jacket and fingerless glove. He took out a cigar, lit it up, and took a long drag. The woman had a small and slender figure, wearing a miniskirt, black stockings, a white shirt, a ponytail, and a pair of cat ears. Bali and Meow. They had just returned from outer space. Meow stretched her back and yawned. Whatever, I'm going to catch up on my beauty sleep, then go shopping, Bali replied. Then I'll go have a drink, we'll talk again during dinner tonight. All right then, Meow replied and was about to use her spatial teleportation technique. Suddenly, their hollow brains lit up at the same time. A cold mechanical voice came from the hollow brain frowny face reporting, I am currently connecting to the superdimensional channel, will arrive at the Justice Iron Fist Club's range in 1 minute, please grant me passage. An image appeared on the hollow brain. A small-sized interstellar warship was quickly flying through the space vortex. A few lines of text appeared next to the image frowny face currently transporting war equipment, current transport authorized. Impartial Goddess, Meow was surprised. You're going to the Justice Iron Fist Club? Impartial Goddess voice came from the interstellar fortress. The Justice Iron Fist Club is a super-dimensional world closer to the mystic zones, so it can directly reach the Bramble St. Tree's vicinity, so I request passage, Bali also asked. Goddess, you want to transport technological war equipment to the Bramble Bird Kingdom? That's right, Sir Bali. Just as I reported, Gu Qing Shan's group will soon appear in the Bramble Bird Kingdom. Bali and Meow exchanged glances. After being together for so long, they already knew what happened in their homeworld. Impartial Goddess has always been Gu Qing Shan's helper. All right, I'll go back to the Iron Fist Club to give you access, said Meow. Her figure flickered and disappeared from the starry sky fortress. Bali stood there alone with a cold expression. His homeworld had already become a super-dimensional world, connected to the 900 million world layers, so even the slightest change in the wind would be noticed. The descent of the era of chaos had caused great damage to the 900 million world layers. In order to become stronger, many carriers of the chaos had gone all out to destroy everything in the civilized world, committing all sorts of atrocities. It couldn't be helped. They had gods, and when they encountered problems, they had to pay the price and call upon the power of the gods. No one could deal with the god of chaos. Most importantly, order has yet to return. The eternal abyss wasn't doing too well either. It was almost destroyed by the parallel world and only managed to catch its breath with great difficulty. The situation was getting more and more serious by the day. The entire 900 million world layers was sliding towards the abyss of destruction. Was the real battle about to begin? Bali clenched his fist and looked at his hollow brain. Tell me, how long until Gu Qing Shan's group arrives at the Bramble Bird Kingdom? The hollow brain quickly gave him an answer. 1.5 days, Bali nodded. Notify our brothers, we'll all be there when the time comes. Yes, Sir Bali. Bali turned off his holobrain, grabbed a bottle of liquor from the void of space, and gulped it all down. Then, let's go drink at the bar first. 1.5 days later, I'll meet up with Gu Qing Shan at the Bramble Bird Kingdom and prepare for a group fight. Bali quickly made up his mind. The Justice Iron Fist Club. Meow stood in front of the club and opened the super-dimensional passage. A small-sized interstellar warship slowly appeared in the sky. Meow picked up her holobrain and asked, Goddess, are you up there? An emotionless electronic voice resounded from Meow's holobrain. Sir, according to Impartial Goddess authorization, this operation is being conducted by the S9003 Super Transportation System. Impartial Goddess is still in my homeworld, responsible for all matters of that world, so she has no time to come here. She's not here? Very well, I've already notified the Bramble Bird Kingdom. Meow looked at the front of the warship and continued. Destination, Mystic Zones, the edge of the Bramble Bird Great Tree World. She reached her hand out and abruptly pressed it against the void of space. A circular passage appeared in front of the interstellar warship, leading to a world full of flowers and plants on the other side. The interstellar warship quickly flew in. Meow pulled her hand back. The passage quickly disappeared. At this point, a notification appeared on her holobrain frowny face group notification from Boss Bali. 1.5 days later, Gu Qing Shan and the Abyssal King will arrive at the Bramble Bird Kingdom. Everyone will go help them. Meow couldn't help but clench her fists tightly. So the true decisive battle is about to begin? This battle will be different from the past. The fate of the 900 million world layers, and even the eternal abyss, will most likely be decided by this battle. This will be an incredibly difficult battle, since the other side has a divinity. There's still 1.5 days left, then let's go shopping first. 1.5 days later, I'll go with Big Bro to the Bramblebird Kingdom and meet up with Gu Qingshan. Meow quickly made up her mind. The small-sized interstellar warship arrived at the border of the Bramblebird Kingdom. The Bramblebird General Ilya was already waiting here with a few guards. Both the Justice Iron Fist Club and Gu Qingshan were trustworthy allies of the Bramblebird Kingdom, so she had to personally come here to deal with this matter. At this point, an electronic voice resounded from the small-sized interstellar warship Frownyface in accordance with impartial goddess authorization. This operation will be conducted by the S-9003 Super Transport System, specifically to transport war equipment for Her Excellency Gu Qingshan. Please provide me with directions. Who would have thought that Gu Qingshan's super-dimensional world is a technological one? Ilya observed the small-sized interstellar warship and silently thought. Please wait a moment. Ilya took out a green leaf and tossed it out. The green leaf turned into light and manifested Lola's appearance. Lola was asking behind her. That seems to be Gu Qingshan's item. Apparently it came from Impartial Goddess. Zhang Yongho's voice came from afar. Impartial Goddess has always been reliable. Her item should be quite good. Let her come. But we're still a bit far away. It's fine, Yi Fei Li's voice came. Our warp technology has already matured a long time ago. After Impartial Goddess found several technological experts from the Blade Edge pledge to conduct a joint research on it, they further perfected it to the point where we can warp through the world layers. That impressive? Very well, Lola replied, then turned around and told Ilya. Give it our navigation coordinates, we'll wait for it here for now. Yes, the green leaf's light faded and the call ended. Ilya then took out a star chart, holding it in her hand and asked with uncertainty, Can you understand this star chart? A flash of light came out from the small interstellar warship and scanned the star chart. The electronic voice spoke in a sluggish and mechanical manner. I have all the navigation routes of the 900 million world layers, please be assured of this, then I'll take my leave. The small interstellar warship began to glow in layers. At the very next moment, the void of space began to ripple in every direction. The small interstellar warship disappeared without a trace. Watching this, Ilya couldn't help but mutter. When it comes to operational efficiency, technological truly lives up to its name. Not too long later, the small interstellar warship arrived at the void of space where the Bramblebird ship was. Lola was surprised. Whoa, that was fast. Can you send us back to the Bramblebird Kingdom first? A sluggish electronic voice came from the interstellar warship Frownyface. My apologies. This voyage's mission is to transport war equipment for Her Excellency Gu Qingshan, Lola asked with interest. I heard that the technological mainframe of your world is called Impartial Goddess. The electronic voice replied. The goddess controls everything in my homeworld. I am the S-9003 Super Transport System. So that's how it is. Lola didn't mind it and asked behind her. Zhang Yongho, what do we do now? Zhang Yongho calmly replied. Since I've received Bali and Miao's approval, as well as confirmed access to my homeworld and the Justice Iron Fist Club's authorization for superdimensional travel, there shouldn't be any issues. Lola nodded and said, Boss. All right, I'll explain. Boss walked forward and looked at the interstellar warship. Open the door, I'll explain everything to you inside. The door of the interstellar warship quickly opened. Boss entered the ship and set up several isolation spells in the entire cabin before saying, Don't worry. We only have a fake Gu Qingshan here. The real Gu Qingshan just left. I can draw out his route for you. You need to find him as soon as possible, because I only have the route he took to reach the abyss. After that, we don't know what he did. This is for the sake of secrecy and safety. The electronic voice went silent for a bit, then spoke. Please draw out his route for me. Boss gathered a cluster of stars on his finger and said, Show us our current location. A screen of light appeared, displaying the coordinates of the nearby void of space. Boss put his hand on the screen and began to draw out the route. A few moments later. All right, hurry up and deliver the item to him. You won't be able to find him if you're late. Saying so, Boss walked out of the small-sized interstellar warship. At the very next moment, the small-sized interstellar warship had already disappeared from the ship. In the void of space, layers of invisible ripples were broken through by the warship. It moved forward, through countless worlds, moving forward at full speed. After an unknown amount of time, suddenly, a joyful female voice resounded from the interstellar warship. Found you. Chapter 1135. Gu Shan held an emerald green leaf in her hand and seriously listened to Lola's explanation. That's why your super-dimensional world is currently sending you equipment. You can wait for a bit. Lola explained everything to Gu Shan. Then I'll stay here for a bit. Gu Shan smiled and said. Lola's concerned voice came from the emerald green leaf. The eternal abyss is just ahead. The great bramble tree's leaf's connection to you will soon be blocked by the power of the abyss. You need to be careful. Don't worry, Gu Shan replied. The communication ended. Gu Shan's ship slowed down and finally stopped in the space vortex. He opened the door of the ship, walked out, and silently waited in the void of space. Not too long later, invisible waves of energy rippled. A small-sized interstellar warship silently appeared next to Gu Shan. The design of the warship hasn't changed much. Looking at the familiar warship, Gu Shan sighed with nostalgia. It's been a long time since I went back. When will this war end? If there's a day when the world is at peace, I really want to return to my homeworld and live a familiar life. While observing the warship, he silently thought to himself. A screen of light suddenly appeared on one of the metallic tetrahedrons inside the warship. The screen displayed Gu Shan's appearance. Lines of small words appeared on the light screen right after. Detected that he has 3 flying swords, hiding in the void of space behind him. I've detected that he has a set of armor with extremely high defensive capabilities. Detected that he has a cloak that conceals his presence and movement. Detected that he has a long rope that gives off a mysterious presence on his wrist. Detected that he has a legendary pendant on his chest. Life substitution contract. There's no place for me anywhere. A worried female voice came from the metallic tetrahedron. Suddenly, the screen zoomed in and focused on Gu Shan's eyes. Material, linen initial analysis, he's temporarily blind. Outside the battleship, Gu Shan had just collected her thoughts. He walked in front of the small-sized interstellar warship and asked, "Is this war equipment made by Impartial Goddess?" A mechanical voice sounded from the warship. "Yes, sir. We need to verify your identity now." The door of the battleship opened. "All right," Gu Shan said happily. He walked into the small starry sky battleship and skillfully carried out fingerprints, iris, blood, brain waves and other checks. The electronically synthesized voice sounded again. "Identity verification successful. Your Excellency Gu Shan, please accept Impartial Goddess highest technological crystallization, the highest level? Impartial Goddess would say that?" Gu Shan laughed. The electronic voice was still emotionless as it explained. "Indeed, this equipment comes from the Starlight Empire's existing technological foundation, Impartial Goddess 23 technological upgrades and scientific research results, as well as the assistance of over a dozen technological experts of the 900 million world layers." The square-shaped metal block in the center of the warship slowly disintegrated. A long strip of black cloth appeared in front of Gu Shan. Black cloth? Gu Shan was a little uncertain. He stood still and didn't move. The electronic voice sounded again. "Your Excellency, please replace the black cloth in front of your eyes," Gu Shan replied. "That's not the problem. What I'm asking is, the highest technological crystallization is actually a piece of cloth?" The electronic voice continued. It has countless functions, but a few of them have yet to be officially used, and should be able to help with your eye injury." Hearing him say that, Gu Qingshan took off the black cloth covering his eyes, waved his hand, and put on a new black cloth. "Ong!" An electronic voice sounded from inside the sunglasses, synchronizing brainwaves. "A synchronization successful. A now beginning examination of Your Excellency's eye injury. An eye scan is required as well as a drop of blood. Please endure the pain." Completed. Beginning analysis. After 79 rounds of analysis, the conclusion is as follows: Your Excellency's eye injury is caused by overuse of your eyes, inferred to be caused by overloading the construction of a spell. Completed treatment plan, beginning cell regeneration and repair treatment. Gu Qingshan suddenly felt a cooling sensation in her eyes. A line of glowing text also appeared on the War God UI frowny face. Your eyes are currently being healed. Estimated vision will be restored in 15 to 15 hours. At the same time, Gu Qingshan suddenly felt that he could see again. The world once again clearly appeared in front of his eyes. This is brainwave imaging technology? If I recall correctly, there were still a few problems that hadn't been solved yet? Gu Qingshan asked. Your Excellency, all problems have been solved, the electronic voice from the black cloth replied. Gu Qingshan praised. How impressive, the black cloth continued. Your Excellency, this super spacetime technological device has many unique abilities. Please try and explore them after the healing is complete. Very well, Gu Qingshan replied, and was about to return to the ship to continue moving forward. The sunglasses suddenly spoke up again. Your Excellency, your ship is too slow. Please take the newest version of the interstellar warship. Its appearance hasn't changed because of the recent trend of nostalgia. Gu Qingshan looked at the interstellar warship, then at the ship. Without waiting for him to say anything, a flash of light appeared from the sunglasses and scanned the ship from head to tail. In the blink of an eye, the ship was gone. Your Excellency, I'll store it for you, the sunglasses said. You can store things as well? Gu Qingshan asked. Of course, creating a specific space to store items is the most basic function of this device. Gu Qingshan was sitting on the small-sized interstellar warship, flying through the boundless space vortex. The warship was moving very quickly, occasionally performing large-scale warp movements. Whenever this happened, the scenery outside the warship would rapidly change. This was because the warship was flying so quickly that countless worlds had turned into a thin line. Has warp technology been developed to such an extent? Gu Qingshan was surprised. The electronic voice replied, Indeed, Your Excellency, everything originated from the Starlight Empire civilization, the most powerful technological civilization of the inner plane. A few moments later, the warship's speed gradually slowed down. At this point, they had already flown past the eternal abyss and reached the other end of the abyss. Gu Qingshan put the small-sized interstellar warship away and stood alone at the edge of the abyss. There was a small protruding balcony here. What a strange thing about the eternal abyss! Why is there a balcony made out of red bricks at the very edge of the abyss? Gu Qingshan lightly stepped on the brick under his feet and ignored this matter. He had something important to do. He took out the 7-colored fragment and waited for a few moments. A sensation quickly came from the fragment. Ahead. Keep moving forward. Only by passing through the winds of chaotic tribulation and heading towards an unknown direction would I reach the 7-colored spear. Gu Qingshan randomly took out a spirit stone and tossed it into the darkness ahead. Ho! With the sound of wind, the spirit stone disappeared in an instant. Gu Qingshan shook his head. This is the winds of chaotic tribulation that can erase everything. How should I pass through? All of a sudden, a figure flew towards her from afar. It was a monkey-like abyssal monster. It came in front of Gu Qingshan, bowed slightly, then spoke with a strange tone. Ally of the Abyss, I represent the goodwill of the Abyss. If you have any questions about this place, you can ask me. Gu Qingshan bowed in return, then asked, How can I pass through this winds of chaotic tribulation? The monster replied. No one can safely walk through the winds of chaotic tribulation. If you want to pass through it, you must slide down along the outside of the abyss. You mean it's safe to slide down along the outside of the abyss? Indeed, the winds of chaotic tribulation cannot reach this part of the abyss. As long as you keep sliding down and enter the sea, you will be safe. The sea. Indeed, the wind cannot enter the sea. As long as you keep swimming, you will be able to avoid the winds of chaotic tribulation, the monster continued. But you must know where you want to go, otherwise you will get lost in the sea. I understand, thank you, Gu Qingshan replied. He walked to the edge of the abyss and slid down while sticking close to the wall. Sure enough, the winds of chaotic tribulation howled endlessly in the darkness, but never reached the wall of the abyss. After a while, the brick wall behind Gu Qingshan abruptly turned into scorching lava. As he slid down, the wall of the eternal abyss turned into writhing flesh. But Gu Qingshan didn't feel disgusted at all. He continued to descend without any distractions. It wasn't until half a day later that he sensed a sea with his inner sight. Gu Qingshan slowed down and lightly landed on the surface of the sea. He looked around, only to see that in the darkness of the void, the wind was howling, the seawater was surging, forming giant waves out of nowhere. Lines of notification suddenly appeared on the black cloth in front of him. Frowny face, seawater composition normal, temperature -30 degrees Celsius, no life forms detected. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan pondered. A bit cold. Of course he wasn't afraid of the cold, but he didn't like the cold. He grabbed the Chao Yin sword in his hand. The seawater parted. Gu Qingshan flew in, flying at full speed underneath the endless sea of darkness. He flew under the sea for several hours without stopping, and finally arrived in front of the other wall. This wall was submerged in seawater, extending all the way up to an unknown place. For now, Gu Qingshan didn't try to fly up. Following the 7 colored fragments guidance, the wall happened to be on the path he could take. And lines of glowing text slowly appeared on the black cloth. Frowny face, this wall has existed for 500 million years. No traces of undead energy have been found within a 300 kilometers radius. Tiny dead cells of various lifeforms can be found on the wall, determined to have been touched by many lifeforms at one time or another. Detected the presence of a summoning spell, analyzed to have been used recently. Gu Qingshan reached his hand out and lightly placed it on the wall. All of a sudden, the entire world seemed to have disappeared. Gu Qingshan felt like he was standing in endless darkness. Was this an illusion? While Gu Qingshan was thinking, he suddenly looked up, only to see 4 boundless clusters of light silently appearing in the deep darkness. They slowly descended. Boom! With a resounding sound, the light enveloped the entire world like a storm, completely dispelling the darkness. The 4 clusters of light took up 4 corners of the world, surrounding Gu Qingshan in the middle. They slowly gathered to form 4 10-meter-tall giant heads that silently stared at Gu Qingshan. A solemn voice resounded from the void of space. Frowny face, visitor from afar, you must obey the rules of the 4 pillar gods of the void in order to enter the secret passage to the dusty world. The 4 pillar gods of the void? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised, then replied, I obey. Chapter 1136. As soon as Gu Qingshan said, I obey, a speck of light descended from above and entered his body. I can go through just like that? While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a line of glowing text appeared on the black cloth in front of him. Frowny face, according to the degree and uniqueness of the power fluctuations, the oath was determined to be a spell of a void deity. A few lines of glowing text also appeared on the war god Ui. Frowny face, you've been bound by the irresistible oath of the 4 pillar gods. Following this, you must obey the rules of the 4 pillar gods, otherwise you will be killed by the 4 great void forces. The rules of the 4 Pillar gods, looking at his soul points that were decreasing by the day, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask, "What are the rules?" "Not sure yet." The war god Yui replied. As soon as it answered, 200 soul points were deducted from Guam Qingshan's remaining soul points. Gu Qingshan checked his soul points and complained, "Hey, you can't even explain it clearly and you're still deducting soul points?" "Indeed, deduct," the war god Yui replied. After that, another 200 soul points were deducted. Gu Qingshan felt a bit suffocated. At this point, he couldn't be bothered to pay any more attention to this Yui. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In the darkness, the walls parted to reveal an underground passage that had been filled with seawater. All the light around him had disappeared. Only Gu Qingshan remained by himself, silently hovering in front of the dark passage. The Chao Yin sword was in his hand. The seawater couldn't reach him. Gu Qingshan pondered a bit. He was still a bit suspicious about the oath of the 4 pillar gods. The 4 pillar gods had performed a spell that required anyone who entered the passage to obey their rules, but they hadn't told him what the rules were. This meant that, either don't enter or follow the rules after entering or die. It was clear that the 4 pillar gods were extremely cautious about this passage. "How interesting," Gu Qingshan muttered in a low voice. Lines of glowing text appeared on the black cloth. "Please remove the black cloth in front of your eyes. Your eyes have healed. Please do not use your eyes to perform any spells within the next hour, otherwise your eyes will be injured again." Gu Qingshan joyfully took off the black cloth, only to see the darkness around him. He casually formed a hand seal to gather light at the tip of his finger to illuminate the dark abyss. As far as the eye could see, the wall had already revealed a huge cave. It was a secret underwater passage. His eyes had really healed. Even Laura's serums couldn't heal the wounds caused by her world technique. Who would have thought that impartial goddess would be able to find a way? An electronic voice came from the black cloth. "Knowledge changes fate, technology changes life, Gu Qingshan. God, Gu Qingshan of Shan of the black cloth. Of Gu of Qingshan." Gu, the black cloth in his hand, turned into a pool of glowing liquid. "Shan of that. In view of the traces of many people touching the wall, for your safety, I have now changed it to a human surface characteristics trimmer." The glowing liquid quickly seeped into Gu Qingshan's skin and disappeared. Moments later, Gu Qingshan used her divine telekinesis to observe herself and found that her body shape and appearance had changed. Just the slight adjustment of his eyebrows and facial shape made him seem like a completely different person. "How should I put it? I seem to be more handsome than before." "Are you satisfied?" the electronic voice asked. Gu Qingshan said, "It seems that I don't need to be so handsome. I need that kind of inconspicuous appearance. That way I won't attract attention." The electronically synthesized voice spoke with a hint of solemnity. "You are mistaken, an existence like yourself must shine with boundless radiance. This trimmer has decided to let you use this appearance. The cosmetic surgery has been completed." Once again, a gentle reminder. There are many ways to do cosmetic surgery, but safety is the most important. If cosmetic surgery isn't professional, there will only be 2 lines of tears. For the sake of beauty, please use Impartial Goddess Personal Body Surface Feature Adjustment Device to make minor adjustments to your appearance. You deserve it. Gu Qingshan. It seemed that every system, interface, and so on had their own focus points. The war god Ui is greedy for money, the Demon King Order is shameless, and this, a super space-time technological equipment from Impartial Goddess, is a bit vain. Gu Qingshan felt a bit of a headache. No matter what, my eyesight has indeed recovered. Changing my appearance also makes it easier to move around. Although being too handsome isn't good, it's still different from me. Then let's move. Gu Qingshan held the Chao Yin sword tightly, parted the seawater, and jumped into the dark passage. At first, the passage was flat, so Gu Qingshan only needed to fly, But as time passed, the passage began to tilt downwards, then slowly became vertical. The passage was filled with seawater. Occasionally, some strange sea creatures would appear. These sea creatures weren't aggressive, but would occasionally touch Gu Qingshan out of curiosity. Gu Qingshan carefully avoided these sea creatures, parted the water with the Chao Yin sword in one hand, and held the earth sword in the other, ready to fight at any moment. He continued to fly downwards. The passage that was filled with seawater gradually became narrower and narrower, only allowing a single person to pass through at a time. After a long time, after diving for another few 100,000 meters, Gu Qingshan finally saw the bottom of the passage. The bottom was completely empty, there was nothing at all. How did this happen? Gu Qingshan drew the true Crimson Demon spear and stabbed downwards. Boom! The bottom became clear. Gu Qingshan's figure flashed and left the passage. This place was an even more vast ocean, filled with darkness and loneliness. Gu Qingshan released his inner sight to observe, only to find that the top of the water was covered by a wall that stretched endlessly. If that's the case, did the four pillar gods open a hole in the wall to make a path below it? That can't be right, there was clearly no path earlier. It was a temporary path that I created that led to this place. Gu Qingshan was becoming more and more confused. His divine will suddenly sensed something strange. A few thousand miles away from where he was, several gigantic shadows were silently floating in the water, slowly moving towards his direction. For some reason, as soon as Gu Qingshan sensed those shadows, he felt a chill run down his spine. Behind those gigantic shadows, he saw countless skeletons. Strange, what are these things guarding? Gu Qingshan's thoughts quickly turned, the uneasiness in his heart growing stronger. He focused his inner sight and carefully scanned the wall above the water. The wall was as smooth as a mirror, there was nothing suspicious about it. Gu Qingshan drew the true Crimson Demon spear and slashed it at the wall. Sparks flew everywhere. A deep gash appeared on the ground. Indeed, the demon spear could cut through the wall, but it was meaningless. The entire surface of the water had been covered by the wall. Not to mention the amount of effort it would take. By the time Gu Qingshan managed to cut a path through the wall, those monsters would have already reached his location. At this point, the huge black shadows sensed that he was hacking at the wall, and their movement speed suddenly increased. An electronic voice resounded in Gu Qingshan's ears. Frowny face combat detection function activated. The difference in strength between both sides is too great, unable to defend against their attacks. In 1 minute, both sides will encounter each other. Please avoid them. Please avoid them. This was impartial goddess, super spacetime equipment, reminding him. Gu Qingshan regained his composure and looked around. Below him was an abyss, his inner sight couldn't reach the end at all. In front of him was an unstoppable monster that was quickly approaching him. Behind him was the hazy ocean, from which more and more black shadows were appearing. So what do I do now? Time is of the essence. Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan leapt forward and entered the secret passage he came from. With how narrow the passage was, those gigantic shadows definitely wouldn't be able to get in. But there's no guarantee that they wouldn't reach out their tentacles or something similar to attack. Gu Qingshan continued to use ground shrink to fly back the way he came. Finally, the passage widened again. Various strange sea creatures could be seen swimming around in the water. 1 minute had already passed. The water below the passage began to surge like a storm. Oh, 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 strange noises came from the passage below. Following that, the sea tide began to pour in from below. Although he was already far away from the passage, Gu Qingshan didn't dare to relax. His figure flashed several times, quickly traversing several tens of thousands of miles, leaving the range of the surging sea tide. Boom! A heavy, resounding noise came from behind him, not stopping. Human, a loud sound came from the seawater behind him, as if the name was being called from all directions. Humans? Gu Qingshan's mind flickered as his gaze fell onto a leisurely swimming fish. A few moments later, he disappeared. However, there was an additional fish in this secret passage. The fish continued to swim towards the passage. A few moments later, the muffled sounds finally faded away. Another half an hour later, an electronic voice resounded in Gu Qingshan's ears. Frowny face, the other party has left. This was the same as what Gu Qingshan had thought. He sighed in relief. Why isn't there anything down there? Even if I managed to create an exit, it would only be a trap, a place of certain death. After a bit of contemplation, the fish drew an arc in the water and swam downward. As the fish swam, it released its inner sight to observe the walls of the passage. Time slowly passed. Finally, at a part of the passage that was about to close, the fish stopped. It swam back and forth between the two walls, looking at the wall on one side, then the wall on the other. The electronic voice resounded. Your judgment was correct. Although one of the walls looks exactly the same as the other walls, the material used is different, and the back is hollow. The fish turned into Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan drew his sword and lightly slashed one of the walls. The wall split open. A new passage appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan went in, flew through the dark water for a few breaths worth of time, then leapt upwards. Whoosh! He left the water and stood on dry ground. Gu Qingshan's lips twitched a bit, muttering in a low voice. So that's what it was. Someone disguised the passage to this place as a wall to prevent others from passing through. What a sly person! Gu Qingshan looked up and looked around. He saw 4 large statues, one of which was the head of a giant made entirely of grey mist. It was the Earth Creator. Chapter 1137. 4 stone statues. Vivid and lifelike. The stone that formed the Earth Creator's head seemed to be flowing mist, but upon closer inspection, it was indeed stone. Other than the Earth Creator, there were 3 other stone statues. A 3-headed monster hovering above the lava, the elegant snow-white eagle spread its wings and flew. It was surrounded by countless sharp blades. A jet-black giant wearing a deep blue crown of frost. These must be the other 3 pillar gods. This was also the first time Gu Qingshan had seen all 4 pillar gods of the void, so he was a bit surprised. A speck of starlight suddenly appeared around his body. It was the binding of the 4 pillar gods from before. Sensing this speck of starlight, the 4 statues began to move. The giant was the first to speak. To all things, all living beings, if they wish to enter the secret passage, they must remove their own powers as much as possible to avoid the ominous consequences of excessive power fluctuations that we are unable to resist, the giant abruptly shouted. Soul deprivation. The 3-headed monster roared. Physical deprivation. The Earth Creator roared. Supernatural power deprivation. The snow-white eagle roared. Mystical deprivation. The faint speck of starlight abruptly erupted into countless rays of light that enveloped Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan felt unprecedentedly weak. Realizing something, he abruptly put the Sleeping Heaven sword back into his inventory bag. A second later, his spirit energy completely disappeared. His body slowly lost its power. His inner sight completely vanished. He couldn't help but check the War God UI, only to see his soul points displayed as 0/600. His soul points were also gone. At this point, the giant spoke again with a voice that shook the void of space. The secret passage is filled with danger. For the sake of the safety of all living beings, we have shown mercy and allowed you to retain a single ability. Gu Qingshan sensed a mystical technique descending upon him. This technique allowed him to retain a single ability through telepathy. The so-called ability that he could retain wasn't the fundamental power of the 4 pillar god seal, but rather the techniques that Gu Qingshan could perform. Gu Qingshan quickly thought, if I were to enter an unknown dangerous situation after losing all my powers, Which ability should I retain the most? Even if I lose all my powers. He still had a sword in his hand. Although he couldn't use powerful sword techniques that required spiritual energy, with his experience and techniques, fighting with a sword wasn't a problem. Under such circumstances, what did he need? Lightning thaumaturgy, dream jolt. This was a powerful control ability that could play a decisive role in a fight. Gu Qingshan willed. Suddenly, a dazzling blue-white electric light appeared on his hand. Strangely enough, when he activated Dream Jolt, the spiritual energy in his body flowed smoothly. But if he tried to use his spiritual power to do anything else, the spiritual power would immediately disappear. Sure enough, only one skill was allowed to be used. Gu Qingshan sighed, but she didn't feel too dejected. After all, many people had entered this place before, and everyone had lost all their powers. Sword cultivators were one of the strongest professions in close combat. When others lost their strength, sword cultivators could still fight without relying on spiritual energy. Besides, he still had Dream Jolt. After the 4 statues deprived Gu Qingshan of her power, they began to retract all of their radiance and gradually returned to their motionless state. The surroundings darkened. All of a sudden, a whisper came from the giant's mouth. I can sense it. He slowly moved his body, crouched down, and stared at Gu Qingshan with a serious expression. The snow-white eagle silently flew down. His body slowly shrunk until he landed on Gu Qingshan's shoulder and muttered, I can also sense it. The 3-headed monster flew out from the lava and landed in front of Gu Qingshan. The 3 heads stared at him and spoke in unison. Indeed, I can also sense it. Gu Qingshan didn't understand and asked, What are you talking about? The Earth Creator turned into a mass of gray fog that drifted around Gu Qingshan's body. The coin of the Earth. You have the coin of the Earth on you. You are the Earth God. The giant also replied, That's right, we couldn't determine his identity at all, so it must have been one of his old comrades who lent him a hand and acted as his secret protector. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. I didn't think a mere statue of the 4 pillar gods would be able to detect my true identity through the coin of the Earth's ownership. He could feel the change in the attitudes of the 4 statues. They looked at Gu Qingshan with a serious expression and whispered to one another. We've already foreseen such a situation. Indeed, if such a thing really did happen, we've already made the preparations. The reserved spells are still here. As the successor of the Pillar God, he should know everything. The Crown Giant suddenly said, Wind God, you perform the spell. I'll tell him about the past of the infinite worlds. The snow-white eagle replied, then suddenly flew up and pecked Gu Qingshan's forehead. Gu Qingshan felt his head exploding. The entire world silently faded away. He noticed that the 4 statues, as well as the entire earth and sea, had all turned into quicksand and scattered, while he himself appeared in a sea of chaos. Within the howling wind, the giant's deep voice resounded. The Jade of Infinite Worlds, Master of the Star River, Blessed Maiden of the Inner Plane, Grand Empress of the Pantheon, Reneedle A world suddenly appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. Gu Qingshan found himself standing in the middle of an extravagant palace. An extremely beautiful woman sat on the throne in front of him. Behind her, countless stars were evolving, being born, and being destroyed. Countless divinities were kneeling in front of the throne. As Gu Qingshan looked around, he suddenly saw Boss. Boss was wearing a suit of armor made of glowing runes, exuding boundless origin power, wielding a long-handled spear as he stood behind the woman. Boss walked in front of the woman, respectfully bowed to her, then stood up and left the palace under everyone's watchful eyes, flying towards the sky. The giant's voice resounded. The Abyssal King was the most powerful of the divinities, the ruler of the inner plane, a friend of the void, time, and mystical monsters. He swore to protect Reneedle and made her the Abyssal King, while he himself headed to the eternal abyss to protect the inner plane from being corrupted by any calamities from the void. The Abyssal King fought alongside us, withstanding millions of apocalypses, allowing the inner plane and the void to maintain peace and prosperity. Countless scenes of divinities fighting flashed in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes, causing him to feel a bit dizzy. Such days lasted for 3,000 years. The scene changed again. Gu Qingshan found himself standing at the edge of the eternal abyss. Boss was pointing down below the abyss, slowly speaking to the Grand Empress of the Pantheon. His eyes showed a hint of gentleness. Gu Qingshan saw the 4 pillar gods of the void standing in the void, as well as various powerful monsters, as well as a few unknown entities. He also saw someone he knew. The controller of time, the undying sand, Fusey. These incomparably powerful beings were all seriously listening to what their boss was saying. Then, these entities followed boss and flew downward. This was the path that Gu Qingshan took to get here. The scene changed again. In a silent secret room, boss was holding a cluster of starlight in his hand, handing it to the Grand Empress of the Pantheon, Renedal. The giant's voice resounded again. The Lord of Infinite Origins, greatest above the star crown, discovered the secret of the dusty world. He risked his life to pass through the secret passage and brought back a treasure from the dusty world. With this treasure, Renedal became the most powerful entity in the infinite worlds, and then she betrayed everyone. Boom! A thunderous explosion. The scene of the inner plane collapsing appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. The stars fell, the earth trembled. As living beings perished, countless cries of despair and despair resounded without end. Even though she had seen it once before, Gu Qingshan was still shocked. A large number of the powerful deities who appeared before had already died, their corpses drifting within the space vortex, disappearing without a trace. Gu Qingshan saw boss wearing his full armor. He did everything he could to save the 7 deities and their palaces from the inner plane. When he was about to do something else, Renedal appeared in front of him. Renedal, run! Boss hurriedly rushed forward to grab her hand. Renedal reached out with her hand. A cluster of sparks manifested in her hand into a sharp blade and pierced through Boss's body. The flames of the stars spread all over Boss's body. Ah, why? Boss struggled to speak. Renedal didn't say anything, only pulled out her blade and stabbed it into Boss's chest again. Boss's entire body was enveloped in sparks, slowly losing his life, but he was still staring straight at Renedal. Renedal lightly pushed his shoulder. Boss fell into the eternal abyss, never to be seen again. Renedal wielded her blade with one hand, grabbing at the void of space with the other. A cluster of burning flames was completely extinguished by her hand. No, a desperate scream resounded from the flames. Renedal didn't react and began to chant an incantation, her voice echoing throughout the void of space. At this point, the giant's voice resounded in Gu Qingshan's ears. In front of everyone, she killed one of the 4 fire pillars of the void, sacrificed the souls of the dead deities to cast a curse. The scene changed to the boundless ocean below the eternal abyss. Gigantic shadows appeared one after another. They were the same shadows that Gu Qingshan sensed when he broke through the wall earlier. However, these shadows were 10,000 times stronger than the ones he saw earlier. The shadows filled the entire ocean, reaching all the way up to the wall, standing guard in place while roaring in anger. Chaotic Absorption Demon, an undefeatable and unkillable monster with the power to return everything to nothingness. Because he obtained the souls of the deities, he formed a covenant with Renedal, sealing the secret passage of the dusty world for her for a period of 100 million years. The giant spoke in a low voice. From now on, the secret of the dusty world will no longer be touched. The scene ended here. The scene turned into endless sand that drifted through the void of space. And now, the sands of time have made everything a thing of the past. The 100 million year curse is slowly being dispelled, but the powerful comrades of the past have all withered and died within the infinite world's apocalypse, and those who were hiding in the shadows, coveting the power of the dusty world, are also becoming restless. The sandstorm faded away. Gu Qingshan found that he had returned to the center of the 4 statues. The snow-white eagle's voice resounded. The ashes of time have buried the truth deeply, but cannot change it. New Earth deity, you must pass through the end of the secret passage and enter the dusty world to find the reason why Reneedle betrayed the deities. But before that, we hope that you will accomplish something. Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but ask. What is it? The four statues silently looked at him. The giant uttered a single word. Live. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.